Ladies and gentlemen, it is Wednesday, April 8th, 2026. Here's what's coming up on the Owen Report today. All right, well, the big story is right where we left off last night when we signed off. Trump had announced a ceasefire, the details of which kind of get lost in translation today, but announces the ceasefire. And you would think this would be good news. You would think everybody should be happy. We're not going to escalate this war. And no, you wake up this morning and you see the neocons crashing out. You see all the Israeli loyalists crashing out. A real character-setting moment, I think. A really good moment of perspective to understand what is really driving this. What is really driving this debate? So we're going to look at some of these responses. The stock market is up. Oil prices are down. It's really one of the best news days we've had, actually. Pretty good. And notice, no Trump today. No Trump. Now, I think I know why that is. I hope it's good news. It might not be good news as far as the agenda is concerned, but it might be good news as far as getting this thing over with, at least for a short period of time. We'll look at that as a Trump envoy just landed in Hungary with J.D. Vance to continue the peace negotiations. Now, the unfortunate thing, Israel has been bombing Lebanon relentlessly all day. And it seems just wantonly wanting destruction here. It was as if they couldn't scratch an itch with Iran, so they just decided to let Lebanon have it. So that's the unfortunate part of this. Now, I'm mostly going to be avoiding that. I mean, we have the news stories. I'm not going to be showing all the graphic footage and all the explosions and everything today. And we will be judicious with time in the first hour, because in the second hour, we are going to be joined by Joe Kent. So I'm really looking forward to that. And of course, Joe, last night, after the announcement was made on the ceasefire, Joe Kent posted a video saying, we have to watch out for Israeli aggression. And then we all woke up, and what did we see? Israeli aggression. So he was right. So it's an unfortunate thing he's not advising the president, but it's a fortunate thing he is speaking to the American people, and so he'll be speaking with us in about an hour. So we're going to be pretty judicious. I do have some AI stories that we're going to try to get to today. I mean, the trajectory for the midterms, folks, is we're in some serious territory here. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if there's ever been a bigger landslide expected right now for the midterms to go the opposite way. Another bad election result in Wisconsin. And then some of these projections. There's all kinds of different projections and polls in the prediction markets now, but they're all going one direction, guys. Pam Bondi is trying to avoid having to testify in the Jeffrey Epstein investigation. She doesn't want to testify, and she says, I'm not at the DOJ anymore. I shouldn't have to testify. Isn't that convenient? So now you have to ask, did they not want her to have another press conference? And that's why they fired her? They made sure to fire her before the press conference? If there was a timeline for Bondi's time as Attorney General, was that it? The upcoming hearing, it was like she can't go a day past that, or I guess we have to fire her at least a day before that. So she won't be testifying. So that's nice. That'll help the conspiracy theories.
This news update was brought to you by OwenSchroyer.store, the official site for Owen Report merchandise.
On the cutting edge of news and analysis, the Owen Report with Owen Schroyer.
Guys, it's a good news day. I know we have to take it all with a grain of salt, but this is actually a good news day. It was a good news end yesterday, and it's a good news day today. And I know it's all in perspective, but all things considered, guys, I think today is a good news day. And what's the craziest part, and maybe this is kind of what's driving me to believe it's a good news day. When I wake up, because at the close of a news day and the beginning of a news day are like two totally different things. When I wake up and I've got all the neocons crashing out and I've got all the foreign loyalists crashing out at the same time, that makes me feel good. I'm sitting there last night. It was even kind of a buildup last night watching them crash out. But like I said, the close of a news night different from the start. So it's like, okay, this is the close. All right. And then you see it in the morning. You're like, oh my gosh, it has staying power. This is legit. Guys, the neocon, I had a feeling of we're back. I was even feeling a little bit of a we're back moment. Watching the neocons, the foreign loyalists, they're all over social media. They're all over TV. Now, of course, Israel is crashing out too. This is the unfortunate part. This isn't, Laura Loomer spending every waking moment on X. She has to have the most record, she has to have the record for fastest fingers on X. Or Mark Levin last night. Or what is going on with Glenn Beck, by the way? I don't know what that is. That's weird. Yeah, it feels pretty good, actually. And we haven't had to see or hear from Trump today. This is a good news day. Again, you look, Israel's bombing people again. Israel killed a bunch of people again today. Okay, it is what it is. And we've got Netanyahu. We've got Netanyahu. It's very unfortunate what's going on in the Middle East. It's very unfortunate we're turning America into the Middle East. But hey, if the neocons are not having a good day, if the foreign loyalists are not having a good day, I think that's a good news day. And again, no Trump. So, okay, but let's actually look at everything that happened, aside from what we're either enjoying or not enjoying as far as the reaction to last night. I think it's very telling, though. I will say this before we move on. It's very telling that this isn't a universally celebrated decision from President Trump. It's very telling. If you can't be happy that we've had a ceasefire, or you can't be happy that we're not going to drop a bunch of bombs on a foreign country, if there's nothing in you that can at least be neutral about that, then yes, there is something seriously wrong with you. There is something severely wrong with you. And we're seeing that's what is driving this foreign policy now. It's not rationality. It's not empathy or sympathy for anybody. It's this desire for death and destruction. It's like a machine churning inside of these people, and they just never get enough of it. And that's what's driving this foreign policy. So it was a very revealing thing, I think, to witness that. And not an unimportant moment as it's a very sensitive topic right now for people that might be neutral or still trying to figure it out, and they see these people foaming at the mouth, like upset because we're not going into more war. It's like, that's the very revealing moment. So I think that is good too. But let's talk about the actual events. Okay, stock market up today, oil down today, probably predictable. There's always going to be insider trading. And because of social media, we get a little bit more of a communication on it. It's not like we have, you're not going to go into the network news and they're going to do shows where they're just following trends in the market, where they're looking for patterns like that. If you tune into one of these shows like I have here on the market, they're just looking at numbers, telling you what's up, what's down. So people are talking about oil shorting and people are talking about insider trading. It's definitely all going on. Here's my question about it. Is this like the biggest insider trading operation that has ever happened? Every time one of these major swings happens, billions of dollars are made. Billions. And it's all so predictable. And maybe Trump's the only one that knows what he's going to do, but maybe he's not. Maybe he's not. Maybe there is a wider net of people that know what Trump is going to do. Because if you watch the patterns of everything that happened and led up to today, I mean, almost everything is up today. And you might look at this stuff and it's, 2, 3, 4, 5%. Folks, these people have hundreds of millions of dollars invested in this stuff. That's tens of millions of dollars that happens after one of these dumps and pumps. And it's happened more than ever with Trump. It's happened more than ever. And that's because probably it's unique because Trump gets the most media coverage of all time. Trump has the power of his social media to drive the markets. I have to sit here and ask, as somebody that I have no Wall Street connection, background, nothing. And I'm just able, once Trump gets in, and I'm just able to pick up a Robinhood trading app and basically just monitor Trump's behaviors and the donor class and how it moves and just be like, okay, this is how they're doing it. I can get ahead of these waves. I'm telling you, there's no way there is not massive insider trading happening here. There's no way. There's no way. Now, again, I'm not making any accusations about the White House, but these swings are crazy. And it always seems to be one group is ahead of the curve. Always seems to be going that way. And of course, it's the insiders. But that's kind of a separate issue. Unless it's the issue. Unless this whole thing is a giant market pump and dump, and it's just, they're just making billions of dollars right now in the market. So that's even why I say that, because I'm starting to think, how much of that is driving this foreign policy? How much is Wall Street driving this foreign policy as far as Trump's making sure they're happy or making sure his friends are happy or his family? And by happy, of course, I mean filthy rich. I mean ridiculously rich. As the average American, the hourly wage won't even get you a pound of ground beef anymore. So, okay. We see the response. I think it's a very revealing moment. Maybe not for you, maybe not for me, but for the rest of the neutral observers, for the undecideds. I mean, imagine. I think I saw a poll today. All of America, not limiting it to a party. Israel was at a 60% disapproval rating currently. Well, yeah, imagine maybe you're undecided and you're just following the media and you see all the pro-Israel people just screaming for more war. Like you can see it in their face. Like something is like, desiring this war. It's like, that's not really helping the Israel cause, That's not really doing Israel any favors. It's so ridiculous. I was catching up with an old friend last night that we like to talk politics. It's like a WWE show, honestly. It's like a WWE show. Every time, whether it's Fox News or the new independent media, whatever, all these, they got all these girls now, they float around, and they all have their Star of David, or if it's the guy, they all have the yarmulke, and it's like a WWE skit. It's like, oh yeah, it's Triple X, and they all got their Triple X shirts on, or it's like this is the dead man. He's got his face painted white. It's like you're playing a role. It's like you are emphasizing this for a reason. And it seems like a damn WWE show. It's like, what are you doing? And then it just becomes hilarious with the likes of a Mark Levin or a Ben Shapiro. It reaches a level of absurdity, and then it just becomes hilarious. And it's like, that's where we're at today. Okay. Let's try to be judicious. Joe Kent coming up at 4 o'clock, guys. Joe Kent coming up 4 o'clock. I do have some other interesting news angles I'm not seeing anywhere else, but we'll probably have to wait for the third hour to get to those. But Joe Kent coming up 4 o'clock Central. Really looking forward to that. He basically predicted this whole thing last night. So glad to have him on today. So let's go to Netanyahu. Now, Netanyahu is clearly not happy about this. There's some interesting stuff coming out of Israel today. I've got a little bit of it, but Netanyahu is losing popularity, and there is now a legitimate movement, let's say, to stop this war. They're going in and out of bunkers. Iran is hitting Israel almost every day. People are fleeing. It's not good. It's not a situation you can sustain much longer. And maybe they thought this would be a short war of attrition. I don't know. The whole thing seems to be a mismeasurement and underestimate. But Israelis are, I think, starting to get sick of it. And I don't think Netanyahu is winning anybody over. I think he's losing people. I think he's losing trust in his own country, and he looks like it. He looks like it. Now, I got two clips from Netanyahu, and I have to read because he is speaking in Hebrew here. Well, you know what? I only actually want to read one of the clips, and I don't think I need to play the second one. All you have to do is watch his body language. I don't know. I'm a big body language guy. I also believe in it as far as, can you make certain decisions based off of somebody's body language? Absolutely. So I'm a body language guy. When you look at Netanyahu's body language, it is not a comfortable man. He does not seem to be comfortable. And I think it's kind of been that way with these presentations for a while. But he's bragging about how they're just, I mean, it's just weird. He's just up there bragging about how they're killing a bunch of people, killing family members. You know, it's just, I guess that's what they do over there. I guess that's what you do in a war, but it's very off-putting. And we're sick of it. And I think the Israelis are starting to get sick of it too. Let's go to Netanyahu. We'll start off with this one.
The regime, we have killed thousands of their operatives, and we've managed to prove that we can hunt them down wherever they are. They have nowhere to hide. We've all.
You know what? I want you to just listen to this for a second here. I'm going to see if I can cue this up. Listen to this.
Down wherever they are. They can hunt them down wherever they are. They have nowhere to hide. That we can hunt them down wherever they are. They have nowhere to hide. That we can hunt them down wherever they are. They have nowhere to hide. That we can hunt them down wherever they are. They have nowhere to hide.
That's a quote from Benjamin Netanyahu today. We can hunt them down wherever they are. They have nowhere to hide. Boy, you know, that sounds like, you know what that sounds like? It sounds like a certain someone who may have said a certain thing. It sounds like a certain someone that they love to remind you about that might have done a certain thing that they love to remind you even more about. I mean, that's like a stand-up interview. What politician said, we will hunt you down, and or what famous world leader? What famous world leader said, we will hunt you down, you have nowhere to hide? Most people would probably say Adolf Hitler. I think that would be the number one response. No, that's Benjamin Netanyahu. Sorry. Thanks for playing. Thank you for playing. I can't stand him. So let's look at this body language, though. Let's look at the body language of a, I was going to say Adolf Netanyahu. Oh my gosh. That'll drive them nuts. That will drive them nuts. I don't even want to listen to this. It's just, you can see this is not a comfortable man. This is a man who is not happy. This is not a confident man. He's not a comfortable man. He doesn't seem in control. Which I don't know. I mean, you can't say that about Trump all the time. There are times where Trump puts off that, but most of the time Trump just kind of seems indifferent now, or even oblivious. That's kind of the Trump aura, is indifferent or oblivious, more so than Netanyahu, who seems discomforted and ill-content, trying to explain this war to his people. And for them, this is part of Roaring Lion, which is why this war really started when we first bombed Iran, at least this chapter of the war, I guess. It's like a subsection now. But that's when this first thing started. It's Operation Roaring Lion. It's an Israeli military mission, and they're using our military, which they paid for through political donations to the president and Congress, as their main weapon in Operation Roaring Lion. And then every other name we put on it is just our little thing that we have in their larger folder called Roaring Lion. But it's losing popularity fast in both the United States and in Israel, as the Israelis can't get back to their normal lives. So Vance, the White House, has sent J.D. Vance and Jared Kushner and Steve Witkoff. They just landed in Hungary. They're going to be negotiating to try to get a peace deal done, a permanent ceasefire, however they want to say it. Who knows at this point? They've said it all. I am curious about this, and I don't really say this facetiously. It is kind of funny, but I think it might actually it might mean something. Is J.D. Vance the first Gentile? Is J.D. Vance the first Goy to get to have these negotiations? Is J.D. Vance the only non-Jew that has been sent from the White House to negotiate? Because other than Vance, I don't know. They're usually talking with Witkoff and Kushner and Lutnick. That seems to be who they're normally talking to. And so, I'm not even trying to be facetious or funny. It is kind of funny. But I'm just like, why is Trump sending Vance this time? That is a significant thing. Trump sending Vance. Caroline Leavitt announced that today at the press conference. That's when the news broke. And then I guess he landed and did an interview with the media. It actually just happened right before I went live. I might even check that out with you. But I don't think that's insignificant, Trump sending Vance. And I hope that's a good sign. I hope that's a good sign. I want to be positive about this, guys. I do. Here's the problem. We've been through this so many times. Even in the last year, we've been through this so many times with the Middle East. Not to mention decades, but I mean, just in the last year, just since Trump got in, we've dealt with this so many times. And so it's just like, okay, does 2 weeks mean it just starts up again? Is this the head fake? Is 2 weeks the head fake? Was the last one the head fake? What are we doing? Is this a distraction? Are we moving in? And I don't even notice. I'm not even talking about the ceasefire. There was no ceasefire. There's no ceasefire. I mean, I feel like Trump was just like, give me some world leader to call. I'm like, okay, we got the leader of Pakistan. All right. Do you think we should do a ceasefire? I think you should do a ceasefire, Mr. President. Ceasefire good. Thank you. Click. All right, I've got a ceasefire. I just talked to the President of Pakistan, we're doing a ceasefire. It's going to be a great deal. We're going to have all eyes on the Strait of Hormuz, but it's all under my control. No need to worry. Don't ask Caroline Levitt too many questions. Getting a little tough on her. So we got a deal. Thank you, Pakistan. Deal is done. Very nice. And then Iran and Israel are like, what the hell? Who? What happened? So it's like he's just, I don't even know what's going on. He's just pulling cards out of the deck. Like, okay, I'll go with this. Like, Mr. Trump, that's a totally different board game. Whatever. And they just play it anyway. All right, so you got Vance over there. You got Israel bombing Lebanon. I think Iran was bombing Israel, too. There were reports that Iran was bombing Israel. So there was no ceasefire. Trump just said ceasefire. That's pretty much all that was. Is Trump just said, okay, we're going to have a ceasefire, and nobody was even there that's firing. And they said, what? This is the first we've heard of it. We're the ones firing the weapons. We haven't heard of this. So really, it's just Trump decided not to bomb, or Trump was never going to bomb. That was the play. He's running the script. He's controlling the narrative. And that's how this whole thing is playing out. But Israel continues to bomb Lebanon. That's starting to get to a point of just outrage from the international community, and it should, but nobody ever does anything about it because, obviously, the United States, which Israel has in its back pocket or front pocket or wherever it needs it, really. Now, Netanyahu is apparently upset that he does not have anybody at these negotiations. Wall Street Journal headline today: Israel was informed late about ceasefire deal and wasn't happy. This guy gets panicked when he's not part of these negotiations. Panicked. And we all know why that is. Now, here's why I'm saying there's a growing discontent with Netanyahu. And I don't know if I'm going to have to read these captions. The opposition against Netanyahu is growing in Israel. They're starting to release more public statements. The people are sick of going in and out of bunkers. So this statement was made either last night or today. This is the opposition in Israel. I guess I'll read the captions. I think I'm going to have to read these captions. So I'm just going to keep the volume down. And it's going to be about a minute here, so just bear with me. But this is the opposition, Netanyahu opposition in Israel. Of all Netanyahu achieved the worst result. The Iranian regime has not been defeated. The nuclear threat has not been removed. Hezbollah's ballistic missiles and rockets are still aimed at every home in Israel. The state of Israel went into this war with a rare national consensus. The public supported it from wall to wall. I supported the war and its goals from the first moment in dozens of reports in the international media. After 6 weeks of dead and wounded and running for cover, it became clear that Netanyahu was incapable of winning any campaign. The prime minister deceived the citizens of Israel, deceived his partners, and sold the public in a series of theatrical press conferences a strategic plan that did not exist. Israel had no influence on the agreement signed tonight between the U.S. and Iran and a Pakistani embassy. They will try to sell you that we had influence behind the scenes. They will try to say that they were having nightly conversations and secret meetings. You know these are hollow lies. So he's arguing Netanyahu has no influence. America is arguing he has too much influence. Netanyahu's pissed because he doesn't have all the influence. And Israelis are getting sick and tired of living lifestyles when they're in and out of bunkers all the time. And nothing but death and destruction continuing for the Middle East on the behalf of U.S. and Israel. Now, you heard him say something along the lines of his partners, that Netanyahu has deceived his partners. And I'm wondering if he isn't talking about Donald Trump. I'm wondering if that's not a wink and a nod of, hey, Trump, don't trust Netanyahu. He's lying to you. But when you hear that, I think it confirms the body language test that Netanyahu is not comfortable and he is not feeling confident. And I think he knows he's losing support, not just in the international community or, more importantly, the United States of America, but even in his home country where, like it's like part of the tradition is you support it no matter what because you have to stand with Israel. But it's not so good. All right, so I got this Glenn Beck clip, which is really just hilarious to me. I find it really funny. And Glenn, he's got some broadcast talent, but he's got a very neocon, hawkish, manipulatable mindset, let's say. And then he always has these moments where he tries to out-hawk the hawks. When he tries to out-neocon the neocons, it's like this weird thing he does. So it's like they were writing letters in the National Review, the Never Trumpers. And so Glenn Beck said, oh, you think you're anti-Trump? I'm going to smash my face into a bowl of Cheetos. How about that? That'll show you neocons who the real neocon is. So that's kind of, I think, what drives Glenn Beck to weird segments like this, or he's crying at the Artemis launch. So, it's Glenn, the kind of the boomer, the baby boomer uncle who's just all that predictable, always eccentric. But I found this hilarious, talking in response to the Iran ceasefire deal.
What is going to stop us from beating Iran, of all places? Because there is something. There's one thing. It'll stop us. It'll stop us dead in our tracks. We are guaranteed to lose because of one thing. What is that one thing that would cause us to lose? The American people. That's it. There's nothing that's going to stop this military. There's nothing that's going to make sure that's going to stop the Strait of Hormuz from being open. Nothing. Nothing. Except us. The Iranians are not going to push us back. The Iranians are not going to suddenly get an upper hand militarily. It will be us. Because somehow or another, it's not that we don't want war. That's not enough. I understand not wanting war. I get that. We are in a place now where a lot of Americans don't want us to win. They want the other side to win.
Yeah, I'd say that about explains it. I was trying not to laugh through that. The theatrics here. The one thing holding us back is us. That's so philosophical. What a brilliantly stated. No, but there's a couple things that you actually take from this and you understand. You got to use my test. If logic cannot be applied universally, it's not logic. It's propaganda. So do we know where that fits in with Glenn's little diatribe there? Glenn Beck says, we have people that are rooting for the other side. They're hoping we lose this war. Well, Glenn, isn't that the exact position you support in Iran? Isn't that ironic? Ironic? Play on words even. That's how smooth this is. We have our own people that want us to lose this war. You're telling Iranians that they want to lose their war. Oh, but it's not that simple. Well, why not? Because the Iranian government is corrupt. Oh. Wow. Is the U.S. government corrupt? Ah, that's what I thought. That's what I thought. And this is the mindset. This is the blatant double standard in the foreign policy, the mindset that drives our foreign policy. It's inherently hyperbolic. It's inherently ironic. And that's why it's an indefensible position. And you know what? It's funny. I don't have this on the show. But Dan Bilzerian, he announces he's running against Randy Fine. TMZ, he goes live on TMZ, and they're talking about this. And, of course, the two TMZ hosts, they're just, oh my gosh, they're just baffled. They're beyond themselves. Oh my gosh. Oh. But this is what they're talking about. This is why Tucker Carlson embarrassed Ted Cruz. They've never been forced to defend the logic that is driving this foreign policy in the Middle East. They've never, specifically from the right. It's easy to just discount someone and say, oh, leftist liberal, and then right-wingers will kind of go along with it. Now that this conversation is happening in right-wing politics, the GOP that supports Israel, they've never been forced to defend that position on a political platform. They've never had to. Now they have to, and now they're getting pressed on these things. And now there's people that are well educated on these things, and they can push back against their double standards and push back against their failed logic, and they don't know what to do. And so they just kind of always go back to, anti-Semite, just discount everything that anti-Semite just said. It's like he didn't even say anything about Jews. Well, he's an anti-Semite. And it's not going to work. Because remember, that's what failed with the left. When the left just wanted to call you a racist as a defense, it didn't work. So the right's not going to be able to do the same thing. Anti-Semite is just racist. That's all it is. They're the same word. Just, it's a special word. It's a special word, special people. No, it's all just racist. You call someone an anti-Semite, you're calling them a racist. So let's go ahead, because they want to separate it. No. Let's go ahead and recognize that for what it is. Stop saying anti-Semite, just say racist. But it's almost like, is that part of the left-right divide too? So it's like the left, their weapon is racist. And then the right's weapon is anti-Semite. It's like, oh, you have no defense. It's the same word. Highly entertaining interview, I have to say. And that's going to be fun. That's going to be a fun one to watch. When's the debate? Randy Fine versus Dan Bilzerian. Get excited for that. Here's the poll. I believe I mentioned this earlier. Now, Greta Van Susteren, she's been around for a long time. She's been on the left. She's been on the right. She kind of just flops around. So who knows what she really is? I think she's probably a neocon at heart. But if the left pays, she'll read left talking points. So this new poll going around, Americans' views of Israel, Netanyahu, have turned more negative. 60% have Netanyahu and Israel as unfavorable. Okay. So they're sharing this. They're all freaking out. So Van Susteren says, I am willing to bet that none of the 60% walked the kibbutz. The kibbutz. Did you even walk the kibbutz? It's like, why are you sitting here pressing against me with some foreign city and some foreign country that I have no interest in? It's like, did you even see the kibbutz? It's like, what? Did you see the kibbutz? What are you talking about here? Who do you work for? They didn't see the kibbutz after October 7th. They didn't watch the 47-minute video of Hamas, everything they did. Well, no, they might not have, but they did just watch Israel kill about 100,000 plus and women and children and destroy entire civilizations. They did see that, so that's certainly impacting their decision. But let's not even get into that. This is the problem with the mindset here. It's hey, this bad thing happened, So now we need to be able to control your mind on foreign policy. It's like, hey, I'll decide that. Oh, no, you don't get to decide it. It's just universally accepted that Israel is such a victim in this circumstance that you have to support it. It's like, no, I don't think I will, and I don't like what's going on in Palestine and in Lebanon. Wow, you're an anti-Semite. Well, therefore, we just have to discount everything you just said. So sorry. And that's about where the conversation goes from there. But it's just like, it's just like September 11th when we're not even in the same world here. You believe the official narrative of October 7th. Many people are convinced that October 7th was a stand down in order to have the excuse to go do the demolition, the military demolition of the Gaza Strip so that Israel could take it, just like they're now doing in Lebanon. So unless you're willing to start there, then we're never going to be in the same world. And maybe that is a generational divide, by the way. So this is going to be I hate to say I told you so, but I'm going to go ahead and say never doubt me, folks, for this one. Taiwan opposition leader pledges reconciliation at memorial for founding father in China. We're driving Taiwan into the arms of China. Taiwan opposition leader arrives in China on what she calls a journey to peace. And then Senator John Curtis says protecting Taiwan from China is an all-hands-on-deck mission. Well, unfortunately, Senator Curtis, all hands are on deck for a different mission, for a different foreign country. So, sorry, we have no hands for that, and Taiwan is going to be walking right into the arms of China because we have no hands to hold them back. Now, I do believe China. Well, let's actually go to Taiwan for a second. I believe Taiwan is a more important strategic ally than Israel. If we cut ties with Israel, we would see almost no difference in our bottom line. If we cut ties with Taiwan, there could be issues in the tech sector. We may find out both. But okay, Taiwan is viewed as a necessary ally and kind of something we need to protect in that region of the world, and we're too distracted everywhere else. It looks like it's going to slip right back to China. Now, some people might make the claim it's Chinese anyway. I'm not going to have the historical debate. Let's talk about what is happening now. This is what I think is significant. If the opposition leader in Taiwan is going to China, that tells me there is a belief or a strong, maybe majority of people in Taiwan that think it's better for them to go back to China. If the opposition leader thinks this is a strategic victory for me, if the opposition leader in Taiwan thinks this is good optics right now for me to go to China and do this journey for peace, that tells me that there is a desire for that inside the country. That tells me there's a serious desire for that inside of Taiwan. Now, I don't know if it's a majority or not. Maybe you find out the next time they have an election. But nobody really wants to talk about Taiwan and what's going on there. Nobody wants to talk about the repercussions. And nobody wants to talk about how, because we're all hands on deck for Israel right now, we've let the disaster in Ukraine continue. And now there's potentially other negative fallout in the geopolitical world, in the international community because of this. It's not good. It's not good. Here's what's not good. Now, you have to ask if this was all strategic. And I'd say there's a pretty high likelihood Justice Department says Pam Bondi won't appear for Epstein deposition now that she's no longer Attorney General. How convenient. Now, I still think that part of the timing of Bondi's firing was to distract from Trump's disastrous speech the night before. But I do think if there was a Pam Bondi is going to get fired by this date, I believe that timeline was the day before she was supposed to appear for this hearing in the Epstein deposition. So Trump knew she was going to be gone before the Epstein hearing. And now they're saying she's not even going to testify. Isn't that convenient? Now, of course, the original Epstein hearing with Bondi was a complete disaster. That was her low point. I think that was it for her. As far as the vast majority of the public was concerned after seeing that, this lady's horrible. She's awful. And then ultimately Trump said, well, then I got to fire her before this second hearing. So now she's out. And, we're not going to send her to testify. Well, not so fast. Representative Nancy Mace, who's in charge of the Oversight Committee, she said Pam Bondi cannot escape accountability simply because she no longer holds the office of Attorney General. Our motion to subpoena Pam Bondi, which was passed by the Oversight Committee, was for Bondi by name, not by title. She will still have to appear before the Oversight Committee for a sworn deposition. The American people deserve answers, and we expect her to appear as soon as a new date is set. So it doesn't look like she's squirming her way out of this one. It doesn't look like the DOJ is going to be able to avoid having her back on the stand. And if for nothing else, boy, is that going to be fun. Round 2 with Pam Bondi. As if round 1 wasn't entertaining enough. I just hope this time around they have better questions. But what is Bondi going to say? Look, we got to get the stock market back up to 50,000. Pam Bondi's about to testify again, guys. It's not good. What are we going to do? What are we going to do? Whenever they ask her a tough question about Trump and Epstein, she can always say 50K, 50,000. But not if it's not there, guys. What are we going to do? Is Bondi going to go up there? She might. The Dow is at 46. No, Pam, you idiot. Why are you doing it to me, Pam? I think we get an idea here. Of where things are at inside of the administration. Todd Blanche today. He's at a press conference. He's the interim or acting attorney general, as Pam's absence is felt by us all, including Todd. So Todd's at a press conference. He is asked if he has any interest in the job for attorney general.
As to whether or not I want this job. I did not ask for this job. I love working for President Trump. It's the greatest honor of a lifetime. And if
Here we go. Shine them on up. Shine them on up, baby.
President Trump chooses to keep me as acting, that's an honor. If he chooses to nominate me, that's an honor. If he chooses to nominate somebody else and I go back to being the DAG, that's an honor. If he chooses to nominate somebody else and asks me to go do something else, I will say, thank you very much. I love you, sir. So I don't have any goals or aspirations beyond that.
I'd say that pretty much sums it up. If Trump looks at me, that's an honor. If I wipe Trump's butt, that's an honor. If I take Trump's trash out, that's an honor. If Trump bangs my wife, that's an honor. Oh, my gosh. I mean, we told you, guys. We told you. We told you what was going on back there. Good Lord. So I guess that's his attempt to become the next attorney general right there. Is that his play? Good Lord. Hey, you know what? I'm full of them today. Here's another don't doubt me, folks. Donald Trump impeachment backed by most Americans, according to a new poll. Yeah. Boy, I got a lot of heat for that one. What was that, like 2 weeks ago? The Clips team over there really set me up for some heat on that deal when I said that very soon a majority of Americans would be in support of impeachment. And they posted that on the Clips account. Really set me up for some heat on that one. Well, there you go. There you go. Stopping this war would be huge. It would almost be such a relief that maybe people might start liking him again. It's like, who's getting rug pulled in all of this? Someone's getting rug pulled. Who's going to have the final end-all, be-all rug pull? Is it going to be Israel? Is it going to be the United States of America? Is it going to be Iran? Who's going to get it? Is it going to be Trump? Someone's going down. Is it going to be the neocons? Someone's getting rug pulled at the end of this. Now, we talk about how they try to manipulate Trump with Fox News, or in another kind of how they process what they do on air. They know Trump is watching, or they assume Trump is watching, so they act accordingly. So this happened this morning. So you kind of have to take that into perspective when you see this. This was this morning on Fox News. Trump was probably watching. They probably assume Trump is watching. We know Fox News supports this war, generally speaking. So consider all that when you see this clip.
But I will say that the president's demands, we have not reached any of those objectives. I have full confidence that the president is going to find some way to make this happen. But he said that we want to dismantle all major nuclear facilities. That has not happened. The end of uranium enrichment on the soil, they're still enriching. The transfer of the enriched uranium stockpiles out of Iran, that hasn't happened. The acceptance of intrusive international inspections, they're still not willing to do that.
Neither is Israel, by the way.
And they have not suspended their ballistic missiles program. They're still firing them off to stop the production of the long-range missiles. That's just a few of them on the president's proposal. The question is the president using this 2 weeks to give our soldiers a break, a rest, to see if we can get this ultimately done? We'll see.
So you have to wonder, is that them trying to like nudge Trump and needle Trump, saying like, hey, you're failing. You better prove us wrong. You better go hit them harder. Is that Fox News saying, hey, Trump, you better do this war, or we're going to start being more negative to you? Sorry, that's how I look at it. That's how I look at it. I think that's how they consider how these shows are going to go, quite frankly. So I don't think that that's too far out of perspective. I do. It's funny, you know, or we're talking about goals and objectives. It's like nobody even knows. Stop acting. Stop pretending like anybody has any clue. All right, here's what we're going to do. We're going to take our first break. We're going to be joined by Joe Kent coming up on the other side of this break. I'm really looking forward to this. I haven't talked to Joe in a long time. I think I was the first person to interview Joe like 8 years ago when he first tried to run in the state of Washington. Ran a couple times, almost won most recently in a very blue area. He almost flipped a seat. And obviously then his history with the Trump administration, the fallout. We might get into that a little bit. He's already done a bunch of interviews on that, so I don't really know if I want to stick to that. I really want to stick to the current situation. Specifically, last night, after the ceasefire was announced, he shot a video. He uploaded it to social media, basically saying, hey, the next important thing is to stop the Israeli aggression. And then, of course, nobody addressed that. They started bombing Lebanon relentlessly. So we'll talk about his foresight, how he was able to kind of see that and kind of weave into the current situation in the Middle East. And if we do end up kind of circling back to some of the stuff from the administration, we might. But I want to keep it more current events. So coming up on the other side of this break, Joe Kent.
You're listening to the Owen Report on the Win Network.
It's America's home for political play-by-play. It's the Owen Report with Owen Schroyer.
All right, guys, second hour here of the Owen Report. Very excited about our next guest. Joining me now is Joe Kent, who obviously recently has gotten a lot of coverage. But, Joe, you've been involved in politics for a few years now. I remember interviewing you years ago when you first were running for office in Washington, and you almost won in a blue state. You actually did a pretty impressive job there, almost winning in a very blue state. But that's just some of your political background. People know about your history with Tulsi Gabbard and the Trump administration. I don't want to relive that too much. I want to start today with something you said last night, which in less than 12 hours, you were proven totally correct. After the ceasefire deal was announced last night, you recorded a video, you uploaded it to social media. I'm sure it got millions of views. And you said, okay, the key thing now is to stop Israeli aggression. Well, when we all woke up this morning, we saw Lebanon on fire. So do you want to kind of give us some insight as to why you made that warning or prediction, and then why this morning it happened so fast, Joe Kent?
Yeah, thanks for having me. Great to be with you. Look, I made this prediction basically based on pattern recognition. For the last, over a year at this point, we have been watching the Israelis aggressively push their agenda of affecting regime change in Iran. And actually, the Israelis, when you engage with them, they're very upfront. In all of our engagements with Mossad, other elements of the Israeli military apparatus, they were very upfront. Their strategic goal is to take down the regime. And I don't just mean take out the former supreme leader, as we just did. I mean, collapse the entire thing. So the IRGC no longer exists. The Ayatollahs no longer have control. It's a half-baked plan, and they'll even admit that themselves, but they think right now is the time for them to hit. Same thing with Hezbollah and basically all of their enemies. They think post-October 7th, they dealt a serious blow to most of their enemies, and now is basically the time to continue the fight because they think the momentum's on their side. Now, obviously, a big lift like Iran, they can't do without us. And so over the course of the last year, I watched them use their echo chamber, essentially from official engagements with our officials all the way to using the media to move the red line to say there can't be any enrichment, or there can't be a nuclear weapon, all the way to there can be no enrichment. And every time we gave the Iranians just a little bit, like we did after the 12-day war and Midnight Hammer, we watched the Israelis come right back and say, no, we need some more. We need to continue this fight. We need to go after the Iranian regime. And then in this last iteration of conflict, every time President Trump said, okay, I want to kind of take down some tensions, we'll stop striking civilian targets, the Israelis would go in and start striking infrastructure targets. They even started taking out some of the negotiators that we were dealing with, to the point where President Trump said, I can't name who we're dealing with, otherwise they'll attempt to kill them. They took out Ali Laranjani and other negotiators. They took a swing at the last declared negotiators, killed his wife. I think he's still in the hospital. So this is a pattern with the Israelis. And so when I saw the ceasefire was declared, I was grateful, because Trump kind of backed us off from the edge once more, and so did the Iranians. And I think there is legitimate room there for a deal to be made. And then immediately I expected the Israelis would not be able to accept this. And unfortunately, I was proven right. And the Israelis started going after Hezbollah in Lebanon in a very aggressive way, in the way that Israel does, which is always very heavy-handed, not a lot of regard for civilian casualties. So that's unfortunately where we find ourselves. This will be an interesting test for President Trump and the administration, because we can get a peace deal. We can get the Straits of Hormuz open back up. But they're going to have to restrain Israel. So this is the ultimate test to see if we can actually put Israel back in a box and pursue our own objectives.
I want to get back to Lebanon in a second, but I want to focus on Netanyahu. And, I was just observing Netanyahu's body language in response. We know he's upset right now at the envoy Trump just sent. We know he's upset because apparently he had no involvement in the negotiations for the ceasefire. So he's already teed off. Maybe he was actually expecting Trump to go through with some strikes last night. I don't know. Maybe that added to some of his frustration. But as far as what is driving Netanyahu's timeline, because there does seem to be a sense of urgency here, as you alluded to. What is driving Netanyahu's timeline? Is it literally just an age thing? He's like, hey, I'm getting old and I need to do this before I die. Like it's a legacy thing for him. Is it because he knows he has legal troubles both in his country and in the international community? Is it a legal hustle? Or is it he's considering elections are coming up and he's trying to have some sort of an outcome here, either before the elections or enough to cancel the elections? What do you think is really driving Netanyahu's sense of urgency here?
I think all of the above. I mean, he realizes that right now is a unique time in Israel's history. Post October 7, he's got a lot of support from the Israeli people who feel like this is their chance to go ahead and deal lethal blows, final blows to a lot of their enemies. I think he also realizes that here domestically in America, this is probably the last time that he's going to have a truly pro-Israel president in the White House who's of the baby boomer generation, who still kind of thinks that, hey, Israel's our greatest ally. We need to support them. I think he knows, he's a smart guy. He's been around politics. He's been around American politics for a very long time. I think he is a student of our political system, and he understands that whoever comes along.
He grew up in Philadelphia. Few people know
exactly. Yeah. That's the thing with the Israelis, man. They're good at what they do, and they have a bunch of dual citizens. And when you deal with them, you almost forget that you're dealing with foreigners. And this is actually part of the problem that we have. I understand what they're doing. It's an effective game they run. But I think Netanyahu understands, and a lot of the senior Israeli officials, especially in the Likud party, they understand that this is likely going to be the last 100% pro-Israel administration they have, regardless of who wins in 2028. If you just look at the polling right now, Republican or Democrat wins in 28, they're not going to be able to just come into the White House and say, hey, we want you to start knocking over these different countries for us. We need you guys to continue to support us no matter what we do. That's just not going to be the case. And then also, I think that Netanyahu and a lot of the Israeli national security apparatus, they realized that October 7th was a major failure, and people do need to be held accountable for that within their own security apparatus. And the longer the war goes on and they're in this state of war, they can continue to kick that can down the road. I mean, we saw something similar here in the wake of 9/11. We barely had a chance to breathe and run a full commission. We never truly ran a full commission on where the failures were, what truly happened. So I think the constant state of chaos really benefits the Likud party and those in power. And again, they feel like they're striking while the iron is hot right now. And so again, we just have to be sober enough to realize that Israel has a separate agenda in mind than we do. And we really part ways on what the strategic outcome needs to be with Iran.
one more on Netanyahu. He's obviously losing popularity. We get mixed messages out of Israel, obviously, as far as the popularity for this war. I know there's a lot of protests of this war, but then we see polls that say, like 80+% supported in Israel. So there's some mixed messages. You can go to the Israeli media. I think there's some pretty unbiased Israeli media. I like to go to those sources. But in the West, it's just, we're totally propagandized, pretty much as far as all information out of the Middle East is concerned, but specifically in Israel. So my point is to say Netanyahu is clearly losing popularity right now. I mean, that is I think a pretty clear phenomenon that we're seeing. My question is, and I don't know, this is maybe more of the ins and outs of Israeli politics, but my question is, does that impact anything? Is there an actual political way for somebody inside the Knesset or inside the country to say, we've got to rein in Netanyahu and present a different voice to President Trump, maybe a different philosophy to President Trump in these negotiations? Does it even matter if Netanyahu has 80% or 20% support? Does that even matter?
I don't know. I mean, I've seen some statements today from the political opposition in Israel, and they basically were criticizing, Netanyahu for not going hard enough. Essentially, like, this is going to be a catastrophic defeat for Israel if we accept the peace deal, if we let America bully us into this peace deal. So honestly, I think they've kind of got some bipartisan consent inside Israel. I've heard from a couple of other voices, and I don't know how popular they are because I don't know Israeli politics that well, who have kind of said, hey, like, in the long run, we do want to keep a partnership with America, but if we keep doing this younger generation is going to be so radicalized against, supporting Israel that we could burn our bridge. We could burn that bridge forever. I don't know how popular that voice is, though. So I think, again, like, the Israelis view this as existential. In a way, I can understand the Israeli viewpoint. But again, this is where we have to be responsible and sober enough to say, like, look, Israel's a foreign country. We like them. But we part ways with them on this very, very critical issue. And we have to put our interests first. Otherwise, we're going to end up in a major, major debacle that's going to have huge ramifications on our economy, our standing in the world, all of our allies. So I just think we need some sober and rational thought in the White House.
Well, and I also think, to talk about the situation with support of Israel in America, I don't know how much longer politicians are going to be able to show public support for Israel. I mean, we already know AIPAC is trying to find new ways to work money into politics, but they have to find different routes because AIPAC is kind of an identifier now, and people say, hey, that's a foreign interest group. So I don't even know how much more we're going to see politicians view that as politically favorable, which ultimately, as everybody knows, the politicians need to get elected. So if they view that as an issue they have to change on, they're going to be forced to do it. I think we might see that even in this midterm. I want to move on to Iran now. There's a crazy notion that, to me, is so reverse intuition here that I just can't even believe it. And they say, well, okay, we've blown up the Iranian leadership. And, by the way, it's funny that whenever you see people like Mark Levin upset that we didn't bomb more people, they just, we just need to bomb. Who? Like, who do you want to bomb? Just bomb random Iranians? It seems like that's what they're cheering for here. But they say, we got rid of the Iranian leadership. We have people that are less hostile and more willing to negotiate. And I'm sitting here and I'm saying, wait a second. You just blew up their families. You just blew up their children. You're currently bombing their country. You're basically telling them that they don't get the same rights as you, by the way. Hey, we get to have a nuke. You don't. So you're basically telling them they're second class in the international community. And then somehow the belief is, this is good policy. This will make them less hostile. Is that really how this works? Are the Iranians less hostile today than they were on January 1st?
No, not at all. I mean, we killed the supreme leader, who, although we know he wasn't a great guy, we wouldn't view him as a great leader by American standards. He did have a prohibition on Iran actually building a nuclear weapon that had been in check since 2003. When Trump came back into office, the supreme leader and a lot of the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps, that leadership, they withheld the Iranian proxies in Iraq and Syria and other places from attacking our forces because they wanted to get to the negotiating table. They respected President Trump because Trump had shown strength, but also he had shown restraint in his first administration. We killed those guys as they were negotiating with us over the course of a year. So I think it's just common sense that there's already a rally around the flag effect that's taking place. And we've known for years now that the second and third in line in many of these scenarios are far more radical than the older generation that had been in power, because these are the guys who grew up fighting us in Iraq, fighting us in Afghanistan. They're hard chargers. And now that we've taken out a lot of that moderating leadership, I think a lot of the hardliners are going to say, look, you can't listen to the moderates. They negotiated with the Americans, and look what happened. They tried to negotiate with the Israelis, and look what happened. That's what got us to this state. We've got to push back. And now they're actually showing that, hey, when they use the leverage of the Straits of Hormuz, they actually gain a lot of power at the negotiating table. And so right now, Iran is able to project strength, and we have to react to it. So this idea that we can just keep killing people, and eventually, the 150th guy that we kill will suddenly, the next guy will be like the Persian Thomas Jefferson. It's just absolutely absurd. It's never worked. As a matter of fact, like if our goal was to take down the regime and have the people overthrow it organically, we set that back probably by decades. I mean, it's been argued before that the only thing that really saved the Iranian Revolution in its early phases was the Iraq-Iran war, because there was an existential threat for the Iranian people to rally around. I think we probably just bought it another 50 years because we attacked the regime, and now it's going to be even stronger because there's this unifying factor of it's Iran versus the world. The Persian Empire is being besieged again. So it's not having the effect that we want. But at the same time, look, the Persians, the Iranians, they're not insane people. They're still willing to negotiate with us. The only element right now that has been 100% unreasonable is the Israelis, the people who keep going back on the deal, the people who will not listen to us or listen to any desire to get to the negotiating table and in the fighting. It's the Israelis, and that's who we have to put into check.
So, okay, we're learning more about Iran. Most people probably don't even think too much about Iran. In fact, sometimes people want to go way back into the history of this. I just try to look at this from a history of, let's say, since Trump got in, because there's this weird belief where it's like so much of what is being decided right now by Trump or by this administration or between U.S., Israel, this partnership is dating back 47 years, right? It's like we're told this is some 47-year-old deal. I'm not denying that there's been problems for decades with Iran. I'm not denying there's obviously a history between the United States and Iran. I don't think anybody's denying that. But I'm a little skeptical that that's really what's driving this. Is this really about stuff that's been happening for 47 years, or is this really about current interests, Joe?
I mean, it's current interest. Like the Iran issue has been an issue for quite some time. I think Trump, based on the way he handled his first administration with Iran, he got us to a really good place. I mean, Iran had been a problem throughout the region, mostly because we were in Iraq, we were in Afghanistan. We were constantly trying to overthrow regimes there. We gave Iran some power while at the same time threatening them. So they were funding the proxies. I think Trump did a very good job of level setting by taking out some of the key Iranian terror leaders, Qasem Soleimani, for instance. But then he didn't take the bait and go for full regime change, knowing that it would lead to a scenario like this. I think Trump just intuitively knew that. So he blew off guys like Pompeo and Bolton in the first administration who were pushing for this. This is why we saw the Iranians, when Trump came back into power in January of 25, they shut off their proxies. They knew Biden was weak. So under the Biden administration, you had 200 plus attacks against our troops in the region by Iranian proxies. But the second Trump, swore in, they stopped that cold and they got to the negotiating table. So I think there was a chance to end 47 years of this conflict that we've been having. And that right there was a threat to what Israel wanted. And again, Israel knew this was their last chance. They knew they had a good relationship with Trump and with people in his administration. So that's why we've seen this full court press from Israel. And so one of the key talking points that Israel and their allies in the media and the think tank world has is like, we've been at war with these guys for 47 years. They've been killing our troops here and there. And most of those facts are true, but they're just not applicable to the current set of negotiations that basically Trump had set the table for, and that what could have given Trump a historic peace deal, which I think is what he wanted. And again, the Israelis knew it was a major threat, so they full court press. They used all the influence they had to get us into this adversarial point. And even after Midnight Hammer, the Iranians, they didn't retaliate. They didn't turn their proxies on us. They fired back the same amount of missiles as we dropped bombs on the nuclear facilities at an empty quadrant of our base in Qatar. And then right right after that, they said, hey, we're done. Let's get back to the negotiating table. And so they were willing to continue to negotiate. And again, this was a threat to Israel. So most of it is threat inflation to get us into this constant state of war that we're in right now.
So let's go to the other neighboring country here, Lebanon. And, what's actually so shocking about the situation in Lebanon is the little amount of effort that they've tried to give to justify it. I mean, really, there's almost no effort. I mean, there's barely any narrative as far as the Western media is concerned about why Israel is bombing Lebanon every day. Now, as you mentioned earlier, and I guess the official narrative is that this is Hezbollah. These are Iranian proxy groups, terror groups, and they can't be there. They're a threat to Israel, so they're just bombing everything. Well, I don't know if I buy that. There might be an element of truth to that. But my question to you is, why is it that the situation in Lebanon is kind of just like getting a pass? I guess that's my confusion with it. There seems to be no international outcry. I mean, even the UN and the International Criminal Court, which has been very on Israel's ass about what's going on in Gaza and Palestine, they're virtually silent on the Lebanon situation. What am I missing here? Why this, okay, we're just going to let Israel bomb southern Lebanon until they're pleased. Why is it so silent as far as any pushback is concerned, or any even questioning as to why, or when does it end?
I think a lot of it is just there's saturation right now between what took place in Gaza, what's taking place in Iran. I just think the Israelis have just really flooded the zone with places in which they're conducting military operations. They're occasionally doing targeted strikes inside Syria as well. So I think it's really hard for a lot of people to follow. A major factor too that I think is not being covered is that a big reason why Hezbollah has always kind of been a part of the tapestry inside Lebanon. It's a very complicated country. There's Shias, there's Sunnis, there's Christians, et cetera. They have a power sharing agreement. And so Hezbollah has always kind of been a powerful element there. Israel killed a lot of their key leadership. And so Hezbollah had been significantly weakened. Hezbollah had been relatively unpopular at times because of the conflict that they would start occasionally with Israel. So a lot of people didn't support them. Now, when the al-Shara government in Syria was installed, these former members of Al-Qaeda and ISIS took power in Syria, backed by the West. A blowback of that has been a lot of the Shias are like, oh no, now we have these Sunni Wahhabists back on our border who defended us before. Well, it was Hezbollah that defended them before. So this gives Hezbollah even more power with the people. And so Hezbollah, I think, has started to gain a little bit more momentum in there because a lot of the actions that we took installing al-Shara inside of Syria. And so we're seeing that blowback effect. And again, now the Israelis view right now as a time for them to strike and to strike hard. They think they can get away with it. And honestly, it seems like their calculus is working out pretty well because there's not a lot of attention being paid to what they're doing in terms of what the scale in which they're going after a lot of these Hezbollah strongholds. And again, like we know how the Israelis fight. This is one of the dangers of being partnered with the Israelis. Yes, they can give us very good intelligence, but they fight very differently than we do. Like they have a very different view of civilian casualties. And so when we provide them all this military aid, it's impossible for us to extract ourselves from the way that they fight. Now, if we weren't giving them all the military aid, it's easy for us to say like, hey, that's a different country, different set of values. They're on their border. Hey, like whatever. But at the end of the day, we're still funding all of this. So this is something that we do have control over. And now, based on the way that the negotiations are being handled with Iran, this does directly play into the flow of commerce in the Straits of Hormuz and the goals that we're trying to accomplish with Iran.
Well, and I guess that's kind of where I would end this line of questioning. It seems that the only country that has put a foot down for Lebanon is Iran. And I think obviously they were kind of distracted with their own interests. And I don't know, with all the news that we get, Joe, it's so hard to tell what's real and what's not. I mean, I know you've kind of been on the other side of the fence for a while now. You're back on this side with us. It's so hard to decipher what is real and what isn't sometimes when we're trying to follow these geopolitical stories. But okay, Iran claims that was part of the ceasefire agreement. That's what Iran is claiming, is that Israel has to stop bombing Lebanon. And once they did that, they violated it. And then Iran started bombing Israel again. So maybe that was just an excuse. I don't know. But okay, Iran, the only country right now putting their boot down for Lebanon, is that because they feel that the momentum is on their side? Is that because they feel like it might provide them some leverage as far as, okay, this is another ball in the field that we can kind of decide how we want to react to it or kick to it? Which one do you think it is?
I think the Iranians know that they kind of have the upper hand here. We can never admit that because we're America, we're the strongest country, et cetera. But the way they've choked off the Straits of Hormuz, the way that they've been able to endure all the leadership strikes, Iran definitely has the upper hand right now. And they know that we need a deal. The GCC countries need a deal, that the current status quo, it's not sustainable for the world economy. So I think they're coming in with a very high bid and saying like, no, we're including Hezbollah in this too, because they want to maintain that proxy they've invested so much into. And yeah, it's in our long-term interest to make sure that Hezbollah isn't funded as well. But also, like, we need the Straits of Hormuz open. We need there to be a ceasefire. We can't have the ceasefire blown up on a fairly minor point of disagreement. The way that Israel is handling this right now by going automatically high order on Hezbollah targets inside Lebanon in direct violation of the initial agreement. I know there's some dispute on whether or not that was in the initial agreement or not, back and forth, but like, this is a very dumb fight to have when we need to accomplish like the big thing. I think we need to keep the main thing. And the main thing is getting a ceasefire and getting the straits open back up again for commerce, for the flow of energy. We can deal with this Hezbollah issue later. And that's a space for some trade between us and the Iranians. But again, like, Israel's going to come in and say, and I get it from the Israeli perspective, they're going to say, no, this is in our interest. We want to continue to do this. But this is where we need to say to Israel, you're the junior partner. We need to accomplish this big lift with the Straits of Hormuz because this applies to us and the world economy and the GCC. Sit down and be quiet, or we're not going to fund this anymore. We have to have that relationship with Israel, because if we let them continue to drive this, we're going to continue to be in react mode to Israel's strategic objectives, which are far different than our own.
Well, and I think a lot of Americans that are paying attention to this have kind of had this logical conclusion of, okay, well, hey, Israel, if you want to do this, go ahead. Like, don't let us get in your way. Go ahead and do this. And then they kind of shrink back like, oh no. And that's the realization. It's like, well, then who's really running the show here? Like, if they're not going to do this thing without us, but we keep doing this thing that's not popular, it's like, there seems to be a power dynamic, the background of the Epstein files and AIPAC and everything else. But I want to stop with the geopolitics right there. I want to get into some of the time that you spent there, and I'm not trying to put you in an uncomfortable position. Just, I'm not trying to gotcha thing here, but I'm curious. I think some people are curious. I think there's a lot of eyes on Tulsi Gabbard right now for obvious reasons. And when I look at Tulsi's role in getting Trump elected and then getting into office, I think they both had a concept. I mean, I'll put it lightly, but I think they both had a concept of, hey, endorse me and get a position in the administration. Either way, she's in there now. We know how she feels about the foreign policy. We know specifically how she feels about war with Iran, but she's in there. She's doing her job. But the reports are that she's kind of getting choked out. The reports are that she's kind of getting told like, hey, not this time. Hey, not this time. Or like, sit at the other side of the table. We know that a similar thing is happening at the Pentagon. A similar thing has been happening at the Department of War for people that aren't supporting this current foreign policy. What is Tulsi's morale like? Or is Tulsi having any influence over foreign policy right now at all?
I'm going to do my best to not get Tulsi in any more trouble than I've already gotten her into. But look, Tulsi is, she's a voice of reason. She's very pragmatic, and I think she's doing the best that she can right now to give the president advice on, what the intelligence community is saying, and giving him an array of options. Whether or not he chooses to listen to her, that's his decision to make. So, I mean, that's kind of where we're at. I mean, she's still there. She's in the thick of things. For people who like Tulsi and believe in her, I would just say, keep the faith. She's doing the very best that she can in the situation she's in.
Well, I don't think it's understated amongst my audience how important having her in there is. I would much rather prefer her stay in than say make a political statement by leaving, like some might, claim others have made, including yourself. But I would much rather have her in there. I think it adds a level of trust, quite frankly, to this administration that might be lacking. And it makes sense. There was a very strong anti-war part of the MAGA coalition. Right now, it's very upset. It's feeling very heartbroken and stabbed in the back But Tulsi is kind of, I feel like, the last direct connection that this administration has to that faction. Maybe J.D. Vance. There's kind of a debate there. I think J.D. Vance kind of, it appears J.D. Vance at least sides a little bit more with the younger generations on foreign policy than, say, the older generations. Is that your understanding of Vance, who's currently engaged in negotiations right now?
Yeah, I take some comfort in knowing that JD is going to have a more active role in the negotiations going forward. I just think his foreign policy probably aligns more with like where the younger, like you said, the younger generation of the base is, and I think he really sees the value of us getting to a ceasefire and maintaining the ceasefire. And I think because of his, he's a little bit younger and he's also a veteran of the wars. I think he's going to be able to speak much more frankly to the Israelis.
And how much, as far as Trump is concerned, is he communicating more? And maybe you know this, maybe you don't, but I'm curious. Is Trump communicating more on these issues with Vance or more on these issues with Witkoff and Kushner?
Honestly, I don't know right now. And then even in my position, it wasn't something I had access to on a daily basis, especially like the dynamic between the president and the vice president.
Do you think this will be the last question as far as your knowledge is concerned on this? Do you think the administration can or is properly addressing the open border under Biden for 4 years? Has that situation been properly addressed?
I think they're doing the best they can. And what the president has the unilateral authority to do without the courts being able to muck it up is basically what he's done, which was seal off the border, get the Border Patrol down there, get the military down there, stop the invasion. So he did that. He stopped the bleeding, to put it in those types of terms. A problem that we've had with the low deportation numbers is that the Biden administration and the Democrats were diabolically clever about the way that they brought people in. I know most Americans would see like the wall of people coming through the border and they think it's like, okay, we just got to go hunt those people down and kick them out of the country. What the Biden administration did was they gave the vast majority of them a legal status in the country. The parole in place process, the CBP-1 app, there was a very concerted, very sophisticated effort in the Biden administration to give the vast majority of these people some form of a legal status, which gives them protection. So in a lot of cases, and I dealt with this a lot with some of the known suspected terrorists that had come into the country, in a lot of cases, we would identify where these people are, and then they're under court protection, especially if they're from a high-risk country that they can't be deported back to, like Afghanistan or a lot of these places in the Middle East, where they can say, hey, I'll be tortured when I get home. Then legally, we can't even deport them. So right now, I understand a lot of the base is frustrated, like, hey, the deportations haven't been there. Something I'd like to see the administration do is come out and explain the legal framework that the Biden administration kind of wrapped a lot of these. We're calling them illegals, but they actually aren't, because most of them have a legal status. The true number of like actual illegals that never went through any kind of process, either through an app or later on when they got in the interior of the country, that number is actually very small. So unfortunately, unless the president were to like basically go to war with the courts and say, we're not going to follow what the courts are saying, and we're going to physically go into a lot of these sanctuary states and cities and just yank these people out, it's just, unfortunately, it's not doable. So there's a lot of lawfare that we're going to have to engage in to be able to get the deportation numbers to where I think a lot of the base would like them.
It's interesting because people don't like hearing that, Joe, including myself. I don't like.
I don't either.
Well, I don't like hearing that one bit. But it's what's happening, and that's what's unfortunate is that is the fact of the situation, whether we like it or not. So politically speaking, all right, I see you, me, this kind of really what I think took over MAGA. There's an anti-establishment, anti-corruption, kind of like a true conservative wing of the Republican Party, right? We kind of bang heads with the neocons. We've popped up before with like a Tea Party movement. And I feel like with MAGA, it was our first time, getting over the wall. It was like we finally got enough water in this deal to get it over the wall. And now we've gotten through to the other side. And the neocons have come in now and kind of taken it over. And so whatever, you got sick of it, wanted to come out of it. The rest is history. On the other side of that, what has it been like in your shoes, from your experience, to see this rabid hatred these nonstop attacks on you, your character, your loyalties, simply because you resigned from the administration and came out with a foreign policy statement. What is it like to see this level of hatred and disgust from the team that I kind of feel like we built, the team that was like we were running for a while, and now it's this different beast coming after us? What was that like for you?
You know, it's been interesting. I knew there would be, because of the way I left the administration, and I wanted to come out vocally because I was shocked to see the influence that Israel had, and then also just shocked to see that, you know, we were getting sucked into another Middle Eastern war. So I knew that by coming out and saying my piece basically publicly that I was going to be attacked. I totally understood that. I even understand it when some former colleagues of mine who I happen to personally like have to say bad things about me. I get it. A lot of it is a game, but what I think, what has been the most interesting for me is that it's just, I think, basic human psychology. When you're on the outside, it's easy to kind of poke holes in the system. And then when you get on the inside, the system kind of absorbs you. And if you have any kind of, you know, status inside that system, they treat you very well. They call you Mr. Director. They call you sir. They bring you coffee. They give you schedulers. They make you feel oh so important. And so to stay focused on the mission of like, we're actually here to drain the swamp, to go after the corruption, to get to the rot, to do the right thing, you're going to be going against the system. And the system makes it very easy for you to go along with the system. And then you kind of get this herd mentality where it's like, well, if the president's happy, then we all are just happy too. We're in the golden era. And it's very easy to go along with that. So I think us staying in tune with the critics and with the people who are like, hey, this is not what we're supposed to be doing. I think some of the more, you know, hard charging elements of the base, I think staying in touch with that is actually very important to keep us honest. Unfortunately, you know, what I saw from the inside, it's just basic human nature. I saw this a little bit when I was in the military as well. People would get promoted and they'd kind of lose sight of like the actual mission. They'd be more wrapped up in with the status. Unfortunately, in DC, you know, a lot of these guys, I think a lot of the base thinks that maybe there's like some deep corruption where everybody's getting paid off or compromised. You know, unfortunately, it's a lot cheaper than that. It's literally just being given a cool office and a cool title and a bunch of assistants, and you know, it's a neat job. And some people are even high ranking enough where they get a private plane and a security detail, and so it's very easy to get very, very enamored with the titles and just the trappings of government and like the palace, for lack of a better term. So you know, I've been a little bit surprised to see that, but at the same time, like, it is just human nature. And if we ever get a chance at this again, which I think in our lifetimes, because we're all pretty young, I think we will. We've just got to stay grounded and realize that, like, we're not here for the titles. We're not here to BS people. Like, the system is going to destroy the nation. And if we don't go into government the next time to truly go to war with the system, we're going to lose our country.
Yeah, well, a lot of people feel that way. You know, sometimes some guys actually, Joe, some guys get private jets and a trip to the Olympics too. Let's not forget there are some maybe some bonus perks. Yeah, it's pretty cheap there. It might be even cheaper than we expect as far as how some of these guys get in and get compromised. But we won't go down that. We won't go down that page for you now. I want to wrap it up with you. We really appreciate your time here on the Owen Report. Joe Kent with us. We love you. We think you're an American patriot. I'm just curious, you know, maybe you know the answer to this, maybe you don't. Is it too late for you to file to run for office?
For 26, it is. And I've moved around a bunch, so I don't know exactly where I'd run, man. But I plan on staying active. I don't know exactly what I'm going to do, but I'm committed to this cause that we have. I think we'll get another run at this at some point in time. So I'm going to stay in the fight.
Yeah, well, I love to hear that. And I know you've been in the fight for a while. You've been in the fight physically for a while. Now you're in the fight politically. And so it's good to have voices like you out there. It's good to see that there's finally some serious pushback on the right as far as what I view as disastrous foreign policy for my entire life. And a lot of people look at you as a leading voice of rationale and reason in that, Joe, and a patriotic voice at that. Joe, we really appreciate your time. Thank you. God bless.
Thank you so much, man. Great to see you.
You too. There's Joe Kent, guys. You just heard it here, getting into the current events. Of course, he pretty much predicted everything that happened right after the ceasefire deal was met. He pretty much predicted all of that to a T. So really happy to get that interview today. Really appreciate Joe for that. All right. We covered all the bases I wanted to with Joe. I think I want to do, let me see where we want to go next. We do have some news left. I know we halfway through the show here. We do have some news left. We are going to go to your super chats as well. It looks like we got, we're definitely going to get some super chats. If you had some questions for Joe, I'm sorry. I wasn't taking questions from the chat for Joe today. I was really just kind of making sure we got through the questions that I wanted to get to there. And we did. So, okay, let's kind of hit the reset button here. First, let's take care of some business, ladies and gentlemen. And you might need to take care of some business as well if you haven't diversified your assets yet. And there's so many reasons right now why you should be thinking about this. And of course, you may be seeing in the headlines the rush on gold and silver and the prices going up and up and up. So you might be thinking about, hey, is it time to get into precious metals? If you're thinking about it, you need to go with my friends at Allegiance Gold at protectwithowen.com. And here's the thing. Any questions you have, any concerns you have, if you feel unclear on some things, all you got to do is give them a call. 844-790-9191. 844-790-9191. That's my friends at Allegiance Gold. And while you have them on the phone, ask them about $5,000 in free gold and silver. You heard that right. $5,000 in free gold and silver with qualified investments, whether through your 401k, IRA, or savings. They can get you into precious metals. But you never know. The longer you wait, if gold and silver and that demand continues to go up, that price could go up. That weight in $5,000 could go down. So if it's something you've been thinking about, if it's something you're ready to do, go to protectwithowen.com or give them a call, 844-790-9191. That's 844-790-9191. Protect your wealth with Allegiance Gold because no one else will.
No, que stop this. 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 No me saques. No me saques. No me saques.
You have found your political compass, the Owen Report with Owen Schroyer.
All right, let's get back into the news that we got on the desk today. We have this development that continues to happen, by the way. It only seems to be going one direction. Let's check in on the status for the midterms. Liberals expand majority on Wisconsin Supreme Court. Chris Taylor's win means liberals will control the body at least until 2030, and the timeline may soon get even worse for conservatives in Wisconsin. Progressive Judge Chris Taylor won last night's election for the Wisconsin Supreme Court by a 60-40 margin. 60-40, guys. That's a 20-point victory against conservative Judge Maria Lazar, an outcome that expands the body's liberal majority to 5-2. So the political reports, the polls are updating today with this information, as it is a continued trend towards the midterms. Cook Political Report shifts 5 House races towards Democrats. Not only are the Democrats now a high favorite to win the House, they are now a small favorite to win the Senate. Great. But hey, Republicans, it was worth it for the war against Iran, right? That's the price. That's the price we're paying here. The price for the war with Iran was to lose the midterms. Hey, ask them if it's the price they're willing to pay. They're the ones that support it. Not here. But that's the cost. That's the cost of this war, is the Democrats will get back in power. And make no mistake about it. Now, that might have been inevitable because of the Epstein files. That could have been inevitable if the economy didn't get any better. But right now, that's the driving issue. If there's a singular issue that is giving the Democrats the edge for the midterms, it's the war with Iran. That's the most unpopular thing, and people are sick of it, and it's kind of the backdrop for every other issue. Hey, the economy sucks, but we get war with Iran. Hey, the education system sucks, but we get war with Iran. So I hope it was worth it for the neocons to give over this generational run we just had with Trump, and we're just going to hand it to the Democrats. We're going to sacrifice it all for the sake of the Israel agenda is what we want to do. You know, I think we asked this question yesterday, but I wanted to ask it again today. And I saw Timothy Lastly shared this, and he might have even heard me say this on the show. But because I think I said it yesterday, but he says it again, and it just refreshes my mind. He says, imagine if Americans were to do the same and unite to stop the war on us all waged by the Epstein class. Now, whatever you think directionally about doing a rally to stand up to the Epstein class, however you classify that, I reframe it like I did yesterday, and I say, can Trump do this? Can Trump have a big rally like this? And I don't think so. Now, obviously, he has his rallies. He'll go do a rally for a local candidate, and people will show up. But it's not like he can get tens of thousands of people anymore. I don't think so. I don't think Trump could pull this off anymore, guys. I think that's how far it's fallen. And maybe if there's any indicator of this, we can follow Trump's campaigns during the midterm cycle, or if he stops doing them. If Trump stops doing these campaigns in the election cycle, that's the sign that, yeah, the magic is gone, and he knows it now. Because they're pressuring him to get out there on the campaign. They're pressuring him to do all of these campaign stops for the midterms. And maybe in some cases he wants to. But if he stops doing them, if we don't see Trump doing these campaigns like he said he was going to, like the White House said he was going to do for the midterms, they now even recognize the magic is gone. Hey, you guys remember the man that killed Irina Zaruska? Yeah, unfortunately, we all had to watch that video. Update in that case. DeCarlos Brown Jr. found incompetent to proceed in Charlotte light rail killing. Boy, oh boy. DeCarlos Brown Jr., that's the killer, has been found incapable to proceed on the state murder charge brought against him in the killing of Ukrainian refugee Irina Zarutska, according to court filings. The 35-year-old homeless man who previously told police he was diagnosed with schizophrenia faces both state and federal murder charges in the August light rail stabbing of 23-year-old Zarutska. So, they're claiming incompetence here. Okay, maybe aside from whether you believe that is a legitimate thing to get him off the death penalty or to lighten his sentence, whatever the case is, here's what's so outrageous about this. Because this happens, by the way, this is not going to be the first case where a killer or a rapist or some big criminal like this gets off with a lesser charge or a lesser sentence or some other situation because they basically, they claim I'm retarded. I have no idea. Look at me. I'm retarded. I didn't even know I was killing her. I thought it was a fake knife, whatever they claim. This happens all the time. Now you can claim, rightfully so, that there's a legitimate argument there. There might be cases where that applies. Obviously, lawyers have figured this out and they use it as a legal strategy. But there's something missing in this conversation. And it's something that we all witness at some point in our lives, especially if you live in a big city, a major metropolitan area. There's something we're missing here. So, okay, they're incompetent to stand trial for these murder charges. They're too retarded. They didn't even know they were killing somebody. So what are they doing on the streets? This is a homeless man. What are these people doing on the streets? And this is one of those kind of, it's a conflict of intuition here. It's a conflict of morals, and it's a conflict of intuition. So you kind of, it's like, how do you measure it? Maybe the first initial response is how you measure it. We all see this wherever you are. I live in Austin. I lived in St. Louis most of my life. Everybody knows this. You go down the streets in one of these big cities, you go into one of these homeless areas, one of these major metropolitan areas, you see these people. You know who they are. You know exactly who they are. They're clearly mentally ill, clearly deranged, drugged out, whatever the case is. They don't belong on the streets. They don't. So the question is, well, then what do you do? Do you essentially take them against their will and put them in a shelter? Do you just get them off the streets? Is that the right thing? It's like it's not really the pro-freedom thing, and it's a little debatable if that's the right thing, the morally right thing, the politically right thing. I think it's fair. That's kind of a tough one. But if we're going to sit here in the legal system and say, yes, this killer was on the streets and he's too incompetent for trial. This killer, he's basically too retarded. He's too mentally ill. He's too deranged. He didn't even know what he was doing. So why is he on the streets? So if this is where the legal system is at, if this is where the justice system is at, and they're throwing their hands in the air and saying, hey, this is a legal argument. All the criminals out on the street, they're incompetent for trial. They're too mentally deranged. Then why are they on the streets? So to me now, the argument has already been had. If this is how we're going to treat them in the legal system, then this is how we have to treat them before they go into the legal system. Because they didn't just get retarded. They didn't just get mentally ill. They didn't just get deranged when they decided to do the crime. They were already in that status. It's like, well, what are we talking here? Are we talking pre-crime? What are we talking about? If you're too incompetent to stand trial, then you're too incompetent to go out there amongst the general public and be a part of civilization. If you're too incompetent for trial, you're too incompetent to be roaming amongst the people. If that's what we're going to say. Because otherwise it makes no sense. And you might even argue that the moral thing to do is to get them off the streets. Get them off the streets. Put them into mental institutions. Open the asylums again. I don't know. Is it the perfect solution? Probably not. Are there issues with that? Yes. But this is crazy to me. And I see it all the time in the news. This is crazy to me. That you're going to have a rapist or a killer, and the justice system is going to accept that they're too incompetent for trial. Then if they are that incompetent that they can't stop themselves from raping someone or killing someone, then they are not competent enough to be on the streets with civilians. That's the logic here. So if the courts recognize that logic, then we have to recognize that logic. And this is the difference. I say this all the time. This is the difference between a justice system and a legal system, or it's like, are we looking for justice or are we looking for laws? And political correctness has kind of destroyed this. Everybody knows it. If somebody comes to me and says, Owen, I could have done this in St. Louis when I was working in downtown St. Louis, when I knew those city streets like the back of my hand. I don't know Austin as well, but I know it enough. But if somebody came up to me and said, Owen, I want to clean up the streets of St. Louis. We've got to get the deranged, mentally ill people off of the streets. We have a mandate to do this politically. Say, okay, all right, take me to where I need to go. And you can go right there, and you know. Everybody knows. Everybody knows. And there's probably there's probably a humane way to go about this. It's going to take patience. It's going to take patience. It's going to take some operational procedures, let's say. But I mean, everybody knows where they're at. I can take you right now to where the deranged homeless people are at. Not the people that live in the woods and just decide to do it. Not the panhandlers that mind their own business. No. Everyone knows. Everyone knows who the crazies are. Everyone knows. So I don't understand how the legal system is going to recognize this, but we're not going to take action as far as these people in the streets. I just don't get that. And here's another case. And I don't know. I guess it's not a big news story, but everybody covered the Zaruska killing. When that happened, that was a huge news story. There's still murals being painted about it and everything else. And the killer is going to be deemed too incompetent for trial. So when do we have this conversation then? When do we have this conversation? Plenty of people wanted to talk about the race angle. Plenty of people wanted to talk about the racial angle of this. And maybe that was legitimate, maybe that wasn't. But that's not the angle. The angle is these are deranged maniacs that walked among us, and they can pop off and kill at any moment. And that is unacceptable. And the court now recognizes that as a legal defense. Your Honor, my client could have popped off and killed anyone at any moment. He's crazy. Oh, okay, I accept. I accept that argument. Well, golly gee. Well, golly gee. Isn't this like part of the problem too? It's like, isn't this part of the frustration? We can't have nice things. Like, it's like I can't go downtown and not deal with these people. It's like if you don't have any friends or family that are willing to take you in and help you, and you end up on the streets, and that's what you need. When do we owe it? Because I'm not a welfare state guy, but it's just like, when does that become a welfare issue? When does that become in people's interest as part of the process of cleaning up our cities to get the deranged homeless people off the street? It's like we've tried everything else, by the way. We've tried everything else. We've thrown so much damn money at the situation. We've had tent laws and zoning laws and homeless shelters and food banks. And I mean, we've tried everything, and the situation keeps getting worse. Maybe it's time to open the institutions again. Maybe it's time to go with that route. Maybe. Because, hey, the legal system seems to believe, hey, they can pop off at any moment. And then they don't. They don't treat them like that until they do it. Now, I see the people in the chat saying it is race, it is race. I'm not covering the racial angle of this. I don't think there's any shortage of that conversation here. So if you believe it's a racial thing, that's not what I'm talking about here. That's a totally separate issue. The legal system doesn't recognize it as a race issue. The legal system recognizes it as of today as this person is mentally deranged and incompetent for trial issue. So that's why I'm talking about it. Now, if you want to try to make an argument on the racial angle of what needs to be done for that, well, good luck. We already have a viable solution as far as getting the deranged mentally ill that could pop off at any moment off our streets. We have a legitimate cause and a legal system that recognizes it as a problem. There's a solution here. There's a solution here. So, maybe we should try it before the next one happens.
You're listening to the Owen Report on the Win Network.
It's the fastest 3 hours on the internet. It's the Owen Report with Owen Schroyer.
All right, guys, final hour here. I'm seeing this pop up on the Drudge Report now. I don't like this, I have to say. I am kind of a fan of this Pope. That's not necessarily a popular opinion on the right. But I do like Pope Leo. Pentagon allegedly threatened the Vatican with military force. Vance was confronted about it, and now Pope Leo may never visit the USA again. This is tragic. This is tragic if true. Who's reporting this? J.D. Vance confronted with report the Pentagon allegedly threatened Vatican with military force. Oh, so this was part of that press conference, or J.D. Vance taking questions after landing in Hungary. Okay, so that's what this is from. Jeez. We're threatening the Pope now? You know, that sounds very, you know what? Never mind. That sounds very, never mind. So this is a Trump advisor, and he's not the only one reporting this. I've had a couple of reports on this, but now it's a Trump advisor reporting it, who Trump pulled out of the Middle East, by the way. Look at this report. Tell me if this isn't concerning. And really, this is obviously, we've been calling this for over a year now. Alex Brusewitz, Trump advisor, reporting, over the coming days, remember that many so-called influencers on this platform are paid by nations and companies eager to prolong the war. They won't be thrilled by President Trump's deal with Iran, even though it marks a significant step forward toward a safer and more prosperous world. Ignore those voices and don't amplify them. Engaging in the comment sections only gives them more reach. The same goes for other influencers here who likely take in foreign money to push smears like Trump is a genocidal madman. Don't listen to them either. Have a good day. Okay. So there's a lot of the neocons and the war hawks are angry at this message. Some people are concerned that, you know, he's kind of punching both ways, punching against the influenced influencers, the influenced influencers who are promoting the war, and the influenced influencers who are anti-Trump. Now, what was first being discussed by people like Laura Loomer and others who have White House sources, they were claiming there was an investigation underway into members of the American media that are paid for by foreign and special interests. Obviously, this goes on, folks. Obviously. As far as the legal angle of it is concerned, you know, it's quite a blurred line. Let's just say. It's amazing how you're able to wash political money. Okay. So obviously this goes on. Now, the reason why I'm pulling up this from Brusewitz and not one of the other reporters is because he is a Trump advisor, and because essentially what he's saying here is, I mean, here's how I interpret this based off the other reports that there's an investigation underway, and then based off the way Brusewitz reports this today. My interpretation is that the White House has knowledge of this foreign interference, and maybe even to a specific degree of they've investigated it and found it. Now, then the question becomes, are any laws being broken? The question becomes, is this going to be applied equally? Or it's okay if you're influenced by Israel, but not by Qatar, you know, stuff like that. But we all see this happening. We all see the pro-war voices. We all see them promoting this. And most of them align almost at 100% rate with Israel's interests. So I'm just curious where this is going directionally. He keeps it vague enough so that you can't determine that. But there does seem to be, there's a buzz about this. There's a buzz in the media about this. And now Trump advisors are talking about this. Tells me there's something there. I don't know if there's ever going to be anything that makes it to the surface, but it tells me there's something there. But of course, who is leading this three-ring circus? Well, that's Donald Trump. Who's the maestro of the pump and dump orchestra? Why, that would be Donald Trump. So that's very interesting. I think we all know it goes on. But it's like, okay, is this applied to the Babylon Bees, Seth Dillon? Everybody kind of looks at the Babylon Bee differently these days. Everybody looks at the Babylon Bee as a pro-Israel institution. Seth Dillon, this is ironic, though, this post from him last night. Ceasefire. Did the Jews and Satan approve this? Now, he obviously says that ironically, like, oh, see, it's a ceasefire. There's no such thing as the Jews and Satan approving a ceasefire. Like, it's a joke. And, of course, it ended up being that, no, I guess the Jews and Satan didn't approve that because they started bombing again. That's pretty funny, actually. That's like unintentional humor from Seth Dillon at the Babylon Bee right there. That's called a RKO, reverse ironic joke out of nowhere is what we call that. So, no, I guess they didn't approve of the ceasefire because they kept bombing pretty much immediately after. But I wonder if that foreign influence talks about Israeli loyalists or just others. Uh-oh, guys, it's like magic. Socialism, how's it working for New York City? Mom Donnie says free buses won't happen this year. Oh, darn it. The mayor defended the city council speaker from personal attacks and reflected on Trump's war with Iran in a wide-ranging interview with Politico. No, we can't. I'm sorry. No free buses. No free lunch this time. The leftist is really starting to come out of Mom Donnie. He wants race-based welfare. He can't give you free buses. Darn it. You know what the answer? You know what the answer to all of this is, guys? You know what can solve our problems? Another podcast. I think we're all dying for another podcast, specifically one from someone in the administration. Secretary Kennedy announces today a new podcast, the Secretary Kennedy podcast. Now, I have to do this because it's just there right in front of me. So the guy that can't talk has a podcast? The guy with the speech impediment and the voice issues, even he has a podcast? Everyone gets a podcast, huh? That's what we're looking for, the podcasts. All right, all jokes aside, I obviously like RFK Jr. I think there have been some hiccups as far as the Make America Healthy Again agenda, but I think it's more victories than losses on that front. So, okay, if you can make it through a Secretary Kennedy podcast, this is what it's going to be about.
For decades now, America.
By the way, I was curious. And then he talks about it, and I don't know. I think there could be some value here.
For decades now, Americans have been told that we should trust the system, but our children are sicker, chronic diseases exploding, and the answers that we've been given aren't working. Many of us have come to the conclusion that government actually lies to us. I'm Robert F. Kennedy Jr., your HHS secretary. This podcast is about telling...
Look. Secretary Kennedy, you need to get a better editor. Note to the editor here, if you're dealing with a guy that already has kind of like a strained voice issue type of thing here, You want to lower the background volume, lower the music. It's hard to hear him already, and now you're blaring music in our ears. God, do I have to do everything here, man?
The truth, especially when it's uncomfortable. I'm going to have fearless conversations with critical thinkers, including independent doctors, respected scientists, and leaders in medical innovation and research. I'm going to ask the questions and lift the taboos and expose the hypocrisy and the conflicts and the corruption. We're going to follow the evidence wherever it leads. And we're going to name the names of the forces that obstruct the paths to public health. This isn't going to be about politics. It's about our families, it's about our children, and it's about confronting the spiritual malaise and embracing the truth. If we want a healthy nation, we have to confront the lies that have made us spiritually, morally, and physically sick. The time for half measures is now over. We're launching a new era of radical transparency in government here at HHS. I hope you'll join us in our mission to make America healthy again.
The Secretary Kennedy podcast. He's going to be there in his office. He's got the letterhead, everything. It's, look, we're in an age of the saturated podcast market. So it's like the net. Oh yeah, the net. That's what we need. The last thing we need is another podcast. I am curious. I don't hate the idea. I kind of like it. It seems like it'll have some punch to it. It seems like it's going to serve a purpose. So I'm actually curious. I think it'll be good. And the real question is, what is the impact going to be? We've already heard from many of the voices. I'm sure that he's going to get on the podcast. The question is, are we going to have more of an impact now on some of these issues? But I like it. I like what he said there. If that's the direction here, I like it. I'm down with it. I'll go down that path with you, Secretary Kennedy. But it's just like, gosh, another podcast, huh? It's like, whose podcast? Hey, here we go. Here's a game. All right, play along, guys. Who in the administration is going to be the next one with a podcast? Who you got next? I'm thinking Caroline Leavitt. Maybe when she has her baby, she doesn't come back, she launches a podcast. Does that count, though, if she's not part of the administration when she launches it? Who's going to do the podcast? You guys are saying Hegseth. The chat thinks Hegseth. Oh, Pam Bondi. Well, she's out now, so technically she doesn't count. Bondi no longer counts. Stephen Miller. I think Stephen likes kind of staying off camera for the most part. I think Stephen kind of likes the silent influence, and then when he wants to make a statement, he can. That's not a bad guess. Tulsi? No, I think Tulsi wants to stay off the airwaves right now. I think Tulsi is just playing her role and shutting her mouth. Hegseth is getting the most votes here. Yeah, Bondi, she's not in the administration. If anything, she's just going to end up on Fox. Bondi, you think Bondi could do a podcast? Are you kidding me? Ivanka, does that count? I could see Ivanka wanting to do a podcast. She feels like she's missing out. She feels like everybody's having fun with the podcast except her. I don't think that counts. She's not a member of the administration. We would count a Jared Kushner vote because he's unofficially in the administration. When does Bondi get her Trump job? I guess that's the real question. Trump last night gave an endorsement to Maria Elvira Salazar. This is the woman that sponsored the amnesty bill. Isn't that fun? Whatever, it's politics. You're going to have weird bedfellows, weird developments. Trump is endorsing the amnesty Republicans. Just so we're all on the same page here. Trump is endorsing amnesty Republicans. Way to go, guys. All right, I got a couple AI stories today. By the way, how does this not get talked about more often? Sam Altman. Okay, so this is one of the big guys in AI innovation in the AI world. Sam Altman, and his name is Altman. Altman, alternative to man. Am I going crazy? Have I lost my mind? Sam, alternative to man, is the big AI innovator. I'm sure that's just a coincidence, though, right? Alt man, bringing in the alternative to man on planet Earth. Just a coincidence. Now, Elon Musk has warned about Sam Altman on many separate occasions. He's now warning about Anthropic, and this one's a little confusing to me. I don't know how much of this is business driven, but Anthropic kind of came out against the AI government spying and surveillance state and being used against innocent people. Anthropic kind of stepped up and spoke out against that. But Musk shares this post kind of attacking Anthropic today. Anthropic is not building an artificial intelligence that is here to protect humanity, but rather an artificial intelligence that will turn against humanity. They're deep into the woke rabbit hole, and they do not care about morality. Their AI safety team is a joke. Their moral guide for AI is literally a leftist lunatic with a twisted understanding of reality who doesn't really care if the end goal causes humanity's end. They have proved this at every opportunity that they've had, and it's crystal clear. So Anthropic in the headlines, and now Musk sharing these attacks on Anthropic. Anthropic says pressure can push Claude into cheating and blackmail, and that goes back to last week when that was in the news. Anthropic had a bit of a fallout with the political world over cooperation in some of the military defense technology. This is the big story, though. This is the big future. This is going to be our big issue soon. The AI government, the surveillance state, in ways that would have been incomprehensible just 2 decades ago, but about to be all in our face. The stuff of a science fiction dystopia just a few decades ago, about to be our reality. And it's already being used against us. It's already being used by the military. So Musk now, he's warned about Altman. He's warning about Anthropic. And who's warning us about the negative here? Who's trying to push the pause on this right now? It doesn't seem to be anybody. It's all systems go. Can't get to the I want to see the Terminator in real life. Can't get there fast enough. Now here's another one. I was thinking about reading this whole thing. Maybe I won't. It's a little long. This is Peter Gurnus, calls himself a cyber populist, a hacker. And he says he's the director of professional signal intelligence at LinkedIn. And he basically goes into how these systems, it basically confirms all of our worst fears. How there is already an AI data system that has you in a folder all about you, and it knows everything about you. Everything you've ever done on an internet is in this file that every system has on you. So he just basically confirms that. So, hey, what do you guys think about Artemis 2? They're showing off their new moon videos and pictures. I'm just curious what you guys think about this. So here is a image, one of many. But this is Artemis 2 passing what they call the dark side of the moon. Pretty clear HD footage of the surface of the moon. And there's even some like Earth horizon moments with some of this footage. So, okay, there it is. Pretty cool stuff. And yet, very little interest. Very little interest in Artemis 2, these images of the moon. I am curious why there is so little interest in this, so little interest in space, so little interest in this new moon mission. Is it that people don't believe it? They think it's all fake? Is it we've been so desensitized by movies, space movies, moon movies, that this just doesn't interest us anymore. What is it? What is the lack of interest in this story? A combination of the both? Because, I mean, nobody's talking about this. It's like barely even a blip on the radar. I don't know anybody talking about this. Did anybody in your social circles talking about this? No, nobody in mine. Maybe they think NASA's a scam. They don't believe any of the moon landings. They think it's CGI, a waste of money, desensitized. I've watched 100 space movies. I don't care. It's very weird, the lack of interest. Very weird indeed. And by the way, it's just like every night, new objects falling out of space. Is that ever going to stop? Are we ever going to get any answers on what's going on with that? Probably not. Why would we? Hey, a brief update here in the Charlie Kirk situation. This is, I don't want to go too heavy on this. I'm just going to bring you the update. We'll see where this ends up, but it looks like this could be a pretty serious loose thread here. Utah police records show Tyler Robinson was already in custody when Discord Kirk confession text messages were sent. Baron Coleman, he hosts a show on YouTube, is where I saw his show. Baron Coleman discovers through recent court filings that Tyler Robinson was in custody and being interviewed by police when he allegedly sent the texts admitting to Kirk's assassination. How would that be possible? Of course, it wouldn't be possible. And yet he does share the court documents where those the timelines, according to the court documents, do not add up. Whoa. I think I don't know if Candace, I believe I haven't seen Candace Owens' report on this. This seems to be one that she would definitely be interested in. Is she off right now? She might be off. I think Candace, what is Candace's schedule? Does anybody know it? It's like she does like 3 weeks and then a week off or something. I don't know. She seems to have some sort of a schedule like that. So I think she's off air right now, but that one. Oh boy. Can't wait to see that. Because, Coleman, that's not really a recognizable name for most people. But if Candace brings it on her show with however many people she has watching every day, that'll really do it. That'll really do it. You know what I don't like? And you can look at this mentality. They apply this mentality to a lot of things. But let me focus on the Kirk assassination right now for this argument. What is this mentality of like, hey, don't question anything? It's like, oh, you want to get Tyler Robinson's killer off. It's like, oh, you're going to hurt the investigation. Oh, you're going to convince the jury he's not guilty. Like all of this stuff. And I'm just sitting here. It's like, okay, go ahead. Get it all out. Get it all out. You're going to influence the jury. He's not guilty. You're going to get Tyler Robinson off. You're going to get this case. You're going to destroy this case. Say, okay, all right, you got it all out. Like, you want to make sure Tyler Robinson, Charlie's killer, walks. Say, well, okay. All right, are you done? You got it all out? Okay. What if it wasn't him? Like, have you ever even considered it? Have you even considered it? The 1% chance. Have you even thought about it? And this applies to so many different issues, specifically with conservative Inc., specifically with the Republican establishment, is they just want you to believe something no matter what. Kind of like October 7th. It's like, oh, October 7th. It's like, well, what if it was a stand down? It's like, oh, 9/11. What if it was a false flag? Like, oh, no. You don't even ask those questions. You don't even consider those possibilities. Well, why the hell not? One of them might be real. So I just don't get this attitude. You're going to get Tyler Robinson off. Well, what if he didn't do it? Like, what is this idea where I just have to believe, everyone has to believe the same thing, and we don't have to really convince you. And innocent till proven guilty doesn't apply here. And beyond reasonable doubt, that doesn't apply. What goes on in the right-wing mind? What is this philosophy? I don't like it. I don't buy it. I'm not taking part in it. And they get upset. Since when do we not ask questions, guys? Since when do we not ask questions? Since when do we not consider everything? Since when do we not believe in innocent till proven guilty? Since when do we not believe in beyond a reasonable doubt? Well, I'm sorry. I didn't know that was the new right-wing belief system. I never knew we established that. It's very strange how much pressure they try to apply to these things too. Very strange. So we'll see. I don't know. We'll see what goes on with this case. We'll see if he even makes it to trial. I mean, that would be, that would certainly make it a lot more interesting. What are they going to say then? I just don't get it. It really turns me. You know what it does, actually? It makes me suspicious of you. That's what it does. That makes me suspicious of you. When you're telling me not to ask a question, when you're abandoning innocent till proven guilty, when you're abandoning beyond a reasonable doubt, when you're saying ignore these possibilities, when you're saying that, now I'm suspicious of you now. Now you are looking a little suspicious to me, actually. And I'm seeing a lot of that. I'm seeing a very uncomfortable amount of that, actually. So I just don't get it. I don't understand it as a philosophy. I don't understand it as a mindset. But then my response to it is I'm suspicious of you, if that's what you're going to engage in. All right. All right. Let's get to the super chats, guys. Let's go into our super chats. We close out the show every day with the super chats on YouTube. Guys, give us a follow on YouTube, the ON Report on YouTube. Help us grow that channel. Would mean a lot to me. Give us a follow, give us a like, share the YouTube page. Help us grow that channel. Would really appreciate that, guys. Thank you so much. All right, to the super chats we go. Amanda Delaney, seeking a fight with definite destruction will only then cause destruction. Leveraging control over one whom has not acquired definite destruction only causes control. Well, I don't know. You're seeming, there's a lot to that. You've said a lot. I'm not really sure what to say other than, are you saying that this is a mad, mutually assured destruction? Snake-a-roni. This is your tardy slip. I'll give you a re before it next time you're late. And RE, what are you saying here? No, listen, Snake. I'm never late to my own show. You understand? When I show up, that's when the show starts. I'm never late. But you know what? If you want to say I'm not on at 3 every day, fine. If you go to a concert and they say the concert starts at 7 and they don't go on stage till 8, that's just how it goes. So that's what this is like. Now, if we end up getting syndicated on this show and we have to go on a clock, then I'll be on at 3 every day. But it's better that I commit to being ready to go live when I feel it than right at 3 o'clock. So that's what that is about, if that's why you're saying that. But I don't think I'm like never on after 3:10 though. I don't think I've ever gone on after 3:10 unless I have a reason. I'll let you know with a post on X. Oh, and we did launch. You know what? Oh, hey DMT, do you want to put the Instagram up? Do we want to share the Instagram? So, I'm really not a big social media guy, I have to say. I'm not the biggest social media guy. Obviously, I have to because of what I do. And I do like X, don't get me wrong. I'm more of like a traditional media kind of guy. But we've had an imposter. We've had an imposter on Facebook. We've had and imposter on Instagram. So basically, we had to get in there. We had to get in there, and my social media team basically twisted my arm to do an Instagram, and they've been asking me all week, hey, shoot a video, shoot a video, shoot a video. We got an Instagram, shoot a video for Facebook. And I'm just like, oh, okay. I just never do it. I'm just like, look, I'm tapped out. Okay. If you can give me an extra hour a day, I'll do another social media thing. I'm tapped out. Like, I can't, like, you know. So they keep bothering me about it. So I'm just like, fine. So I just shoot this video today. And so I think what we're going to do, I'll go ahead and make the announcement because we have an Instagram. I don't even know what it is. Owen Schroyer 1776 or something. I don't know. I'm not on Instagram. If DMT wants to hop into the digital studio here and throw it up on the screen, he's welcome to. I don't know. He's gone silent. He's gone missing. I think what we're going to do is, I don't even think I'm going to get political. I think I'm just going to slop it up. I think I'm just going to do pure slop on Instagram. Just a quick shoveling of slop. Not like, I'm not trying to get too involved here. I think we're just going to do some nice, easy, just one scoop of slop. Just have a little slop. So we've got an Instagram. What is it even called? Let me see. They sent it to me earlier. I don't know. DMT is out to lunch. He's totally silent here. Let's see. I can't even find the account. That's just, I can't invest in another one. But they've twisted my arm. They forced me to do it. Okay, so it's Owen Schroyer 1776. I wonder if it's up. Let's see. I wonder if they posted that video. Oh, there it is. Oh, it's got a couple posts. We've got, it's got 2,000 followers. There you go. There, you're going to love this one. You guys you're going to love this one. So there's my Instagram, Owen Schroyer 1776. There you go. I think we're just going to slop it up. I literally shot the video. I was like, I don't even know what I'm doing with my hands. I don't know. Who am I? Okay. Hi, Instagram. Like, just shoot something so we can post it and let people know it's you. So if you're on Instagram, there you go. I think I'm just going to slop. I'm just going to slop. We might not do any politics. I think we're just going to do pure slop over there. Not even like meaningful slop, just slop. Like, what's the first slop that comes to my head? All right. There you go. There's your announcement. Trump endorsed the woman that pushed illegal Immigrant Amnesty Act. People are finding out voting for the lesser of two evils is still voting for evil. It's the dilemma. But yeah, we covered the endorsement of Salazar a moment ago. It's tough being a war criminal. Fantastic Fox. Which one? It's tougher on some. It's tough on Maduro, not on others. Employ strong for life. It's all theatrics. It's all theatrics. Yeah, it's certainly starting to feel like a WWE show. It's like, I've watched a lot of WWE. And the Trump presidency is starting to feel like that. You know? It's like, it's just starting to feel like those WWE shows I watched. Should I go to WrestleMania, guys? By the way, hold on a second. I'm going into the chat. Should I go to WrestleMania? Here's the only reason why I'm asking. I think it's at the end of the month. But I've never been to a WrestleMania. And so I've kind of always wanted to do WrestleMania. The reason I've even thinking about it, I've got these invites to go to Vegas and do some shows. For example, Dan Bilzerian is in Vegas. He's been trying to do a show with me for a while, and our schedule just never lined up. The Hodge twins. There's a couple people in Vegas that I've been trying to kind of just do like a 2-day trip to Vegas and knock out a bunch of these podcasts, a bunch of these shows with people I've been in talks with for a while. I don't know if Dan is going to be in Vegas or Florida now that he's running there. But so I've been thinking about going to Vegas to do this trip, go on with Dan. I think Jake Shields is there, Hodge twins. And then it popped up WrestleMania was in Vegas, it popped up on my thing. I think that's because I was searching for Metallica Sphere tickets. You know how the algorithm acts? It's like you search for one thing and then it's just pounding you with everything. So I think it's sending me Vegas stuff. So it sends me WrestleMania. So I was thinking about, okay, go to Vegas, hit the podcast tour, and then go shoot content at WrestleMania. Go shoot content at WrestleMania, because that's just going to be like, I don't do that type of content. So I don't even know if my audience would want it. But like, that is content central, WrestleMania. And I mean, I would imagine, because the wrestling community, the WWE thing is like, they got all these different types of people that cover it. Like, you could have like 500 followers and they'll throw you a press pass to go to one of these outside events to go promote WWE. It's kind of a smart marketing thing they do. But I don't know. What do you guys think? Would you want to see me at WrestleMania? If I went there, shot a couple shows, and then did a WrestleMania show, we could do a live stream from WrestleMania. Do you think they would allow that? That might be pushing the limit. That might be pushing the limit. That's where I belong. I think you're right, actually. I think you're right about that. I should just be I should just be in the WWE. That would be doing Michael Cole has one of the funnest jobs. That's got to be one of the funnest jobs in the world right there. Employee strong for life. Advice taken. Got the board and dogs packed up, heading to Santa Cruz for surf and tacos. They do catch of the day at this little hut. Very good. Oh, well, enjoy. Captain Hard, the strait is closed again because Israel is bombing Christians in Lebanon. Pakistani diplomat at the UN said Lebanon was included. Sabotage again. Well, every time. I don't think, has Israel ever ceased firing once? I don't think so. Not that I've seen. Not in this recent transaction. Funny seeing MAGA cult and Israel First argue about Trump's ceasefire. The Israel First crowd is going mask off as soon as Trump did something to stop the war. Now they're criticizing him. It's hilarious. It is. It's a beautiful disaster in this case. This scene is a beautiful disaster. No doubt about that. Official Beverly. I hope Alex has called to apologize. Well, no. But I will say this, since you brought it up. I haven't tuned into the Alex Jones show in I don't know how long. Long time. And I found out Michael Savage was going to be on today. I think it was at noon. So I tuned in, and this isn't even about Alex, actually. But I almost tuned out immediately. I tuned into the Savage interview, and he starts talking, and I love Michael Savage. Don't get me wrong. I love Savage. I don't mind disagreeing with him. It's fine. I like Savage. So I'm like, okay, Savage on Jones. I got to see this. Tune into the show. And I think I caught a little bit of Alex before that break. And Savage goes on, and he starts talking about the 600s. I'm sorry, not the 1600s, the 600s. He starts off the segment about the war in the Middle East and you know, Israel's interest and everything else, and he starts talking about the 600s. Like, oh, we're going to go all the way back to the 600s. I'm like, oh my God, what are we doing? It's like, if this is what you have to do to get younger generations to support Israel, because I know that that's something in Savage's heart. He's expressed it before on his show. I know that's something that's on his heart. That's fine. He was one of the first that supports Israel to call out Netanyahu. But he starts going into this history lesson, and I'm just like, look, this isn't dragging me into the interests here. This isn't, I'm not doing this. And then he starts talking about Iran as the destabilizing force. And it's like, it's just, forget about my opinion versus his opinion. What's so shocking to me, I just tuned out. I was like, all right, this isn't helping with my show prep, so I'm going elsewhere. Here's what's crazy to me. Forget about the difference in opinion. That's okay. The difference in opinion is fine. And Savage can present these topics however he wants. Here, what's crazy to me, and this is a very, anybody can observe this pretty much. It's not like there's a split on this issue. It's not like there's a little split or like this is, I mean, folks, this is like a total like length of the field gap. It's not like, okay, we're this far apart on the issue. We're literally on the complete opposite side of the field here. Like we're not even in shouting distance. Isn't that amazing? Iran is the reason for all the instability in the Middle East. Israel is the reason for all the stability in the Middle East. These are two completely diametrically opposed ideas. And yet we're all here in the same room trying to figure it out. And it's just, we're not even on the same side at all. It's a pretty amazing thing that's how wide this split is. But it's only going one direction, and there's a clear indicator of age. I mean, if you're looking at this from a data analysis, and you're like, here's all the people that support Israel. They're all, over 60, over 70. Here's all the people that are sick of Israel. They're mostly under 50, under 40. It's like, that's a clear metric that you can look in a data set and say, oh, okay, yeah, there it is right there. But the gap is, I mean, it's so big. There is no middle ground. You can't even reach the middle ground. But it's not America. It's not our country. And that remains a fact. Michael, my dad got fired from 2 different jobs as a nurse anesthetist for being anti-Semitic on X. And the second time he didn't even do anything. Really? Well, we covered the story. That was the story of that woman in New York. She's lost 2 jobs for not supporting Israel. So you can be anti-American all day long, but don't be anti-Israel, Because where do you live? The Mr. Smith, do you think it's possible that the organizers of the demonstrations against Bibi were the people who organized the music festival that got attacked? No, I don't. I guess I get where you're going with this, but I don't know. I'm not really, it's not adding up for me. Big K Gaming, can we just get an hour of the Trump imitations daily? I lose it every single Stein. I think it's better just in flow, right? I think it's just better to just do it in flow, not force it. So, I mean, it seems to happen naturally about once a show. So you're going to get what you want. Maybe not all of it, though. It's kind of how it is with me, actually. You get a little bit, not much, just a little bit. Dr. Funk, Iran was a form of DM's switch, S. Guthrie, a signal, com, 5G, shadow gov. Okay, this is like a Q thing, right? I'm not reading this on air. That is just complete slop. It's not good slop. So is this like a Q thing? Is that what I'm trying to decipher here? I don't know. If it's a Q thing, that's fine. But can you give us like something I can read and not like some like security code communication? I mean, that would help if you're trying to communicate here. These beats slap. I'm glad you like the music and the breaks. I think we're going to have some new stuff soon. Hung we low with BB Trump. Liberty Vault Dave said he wants to chat. Send email. Only way to save face, tell Congress to bring up the War Powers Act and have them approve it. Trump can say his hands are tied. All Trump demands before war was agreed to, and Israel bombed Iran. Yeah, well, Congress is bought and paid for by the same people that bought and paid for this war and for Trump to support it. So I don't think that changes anything. Congress will only pretend they don't like the war as long as it's advantageous for them. But if it came to any real action to stop it, you notice that's not happening because they have the same donors. Joe, tell Owen he must reunite with AJ to end the war. Well, if that was true, I'd do it. If we could end the war, if we could end all war by me and Alex doing a show together, I think we'd both agree to that. No problem. He might even ask for it to be shirtless. I don't know. So might you. Wifey chimes in. W guest. Yeah, Joe Kent's great. It was nice to reconnect with Joe. Fabez, I hope Iran refuses to allow Kushner and Tiny Hats at the negotiation table and request Joe to be there. Make Trump look, eat crow. Huh? I get the first part there. Trump would never ask for Joe Kent to be at this negotiating table, though. So let's just go ahead and get rid of that. I don't know. You know what? I don't really think there's some signals coming out of this. Is Iran really negotiating? I don't think Iran really is negotiating with Witkoff and Kushner. I think that's why Trump is sending Vance now, because that negotiation has gotten nowhere, and they're not even getting consistent signal anymore. So I think that's the Vance. Maybe it's like, okay, let's see if Vance can give me a clear signal here. Big Don, Trump restoring to fabricating fake news headlines about negotiations. Shake my head. By the way, nobody ceases fire like Jisrael. They keep launching, then report the response as an attack. Yes. We do see that. Always the victim. Cry out as they strike you. You know the tropes. That's an arrestable offense, actually. PFF, Pope Leo, the last Pope Leo from the 19th century, addressed at the time how Albert Pike and the Freemasons were enemies of the Vatican. Some things don't change. Some things don't change. Do you like the Pope? It sounds like you like Pope Leo. I do like Pope Leo. I do. I'm upset that this White House is attacking him like that. But anybody that opposes war, this White House will seek and destroy, even if it's the Pope. Yikes. Jordan. I don't even want to read it. Everybody can see it. Maybe a lot of people are feeling it. Our suspicions of the people that were around Charlie Kirk. I'll just say that. Red light, meat, and pizza. How do you feel about Gerald Morgan's response to Harrison's post about the strait being closed? I saw your response, just seeing if you could dive deeper. Let me pull that up for specifics here. I think it was something about how delusional neocons were, or how they just don't even exist in fact anymore. Let's see if I can find this. Oh. Okay. So this is what I was talking about a little bit briefly earlier. Harrison says that, I'll just read the exact stuff, I guess. Iran called Trump's bluff, and anyone telling you otherwise is lying to you. So, okay, he believes Trump was bluffing, and Iran called the bluff, and okay. So Gerald Morgan, Crowder CEO, says, explain. Harrison says the Strait of Hormuz is still closed. Am I some sort of genius, or is everyone pretending to be stupid? So I replied, most people that talk politics don't even seem to follow politics. That's what I've learned. The best example is when debating a diehard Trump supporter. Where did you hear that? And it's something Trump literally said. I don't really know how I need to dive in deeper. I talk about how most people are not really politically informed. But in this specific instance, we're talking about there are people in the political media that don't even seem to follow politics. Now, folks, again, it's like I'm not even directional as far as my politics. Like I might have morals, I might have policies, you might be able to put me in one box or the other. But I'm kind of like, more of what drives me is countering propaganda, countering false narratives, and then at least attempting to be more informed than anyone else in the room. Like that's kind of where I'm really coming from. And so it's easy when it's the brainwashed liberals out in the streets that think they know everything for me to go out there and own the libs. It's easy to do because they really don't know anything. Well, that's what's going on with the right now. That's what's going on with MAGA now, is they talk about stuff they just don't know. They talk about issues, they talk about stories, and they don't know anything about them. And yet they speak with this confidence and this arrogance. And it's just like, dude, you don't even know. And that's why you're seeing all these. Now the left can actually go out and do own Trump supporters content. Now they can do that. So I don't know how much deeper I need to go here. But it's the best example, maybe the best example, I don't know. This is the one that came to my mind, is you'll say, you know, Trump is working on behalf of Israel, or Trump's donors care more about Israel than America. And they're like, oh, you know, you're an anti-Semite. You made that up. All this stuff. It's like, dude, Trump literally said that in Jerusalem. That's a quote from Trump. It's like, you're attacking me for what Trump said. So in defense of Trump, you're attacking me for something Trump said. That's the insane level of clown world MAGA is. But that's not even about MAGA. This is about people that talk politics or are in politics, and they really don't even have knowledge of the issues they talk about at all. So how are you going to, it's like, oh, you just made that up. No, Trump said that. It's like, oh, you just made that up. No, the Strait of Hormuz is closed. Like, what are you talking about here? All the leadership is cooked. Nobody is fighting for our rights. From Jordan, go listen to the Bilzerian interview on TMZ. Go listen to that. And they're trying to, you know, they're obviously they're going to paint him as an anti-Semite. That's what they did in this interview. They paint him as an anti-Semite. They paint him as a racist. And you know, Bilzerian doesn't even blink. He doesn't even blink in these attacks against him. Here's what I'm curious about. And if you want to say, hey, it's Florida or it's Trump country or whatever, he can't run against Randy Fine and win. Well, okay, let's have the election and we can find out. What's going to be interesting to me, Bilzerian is going to get attention here. They won't be able to avoid this campaign. Dan has too big of a following. He's got too big of a platform. They won't be able to ignore him into oblivion here. Now, whether Randy Fine will get on a debate stage with him or not, that might be a different question. What I'm curious, if you go listen to this TMZ interview, which is clearly an attempt at a gotcha interview, but if you watch how Dan handles it and you watch how he carries himself and responds to the accusations, I'm sitting here and I'm saying, I think it resonates. I think it resonates. And even if the Israel thing is sensitive to you, or even if you're woke right and you're fighting anti-Semitism, I still think it's hard to avoid leaving that conversation and not thinking, hey, Bilzerian is on to something here. Hey, there's a lot of truth to this. This stuff, yeah, I agree with what he's saying. Whether you conclude he is or isn't these accusations, I don't know if it matters. And I think, and this is why these midterms, you know, and let me say this. Let me just go ahead and prepare you for this. I was actually going to open the show with it, but I'll do it now that I remember. Folks, these midterms are going to be wild. I think we're about to see the craziest midterms of our life. I think the 2026 midterms are going to be the craziest midterms you've ever seen in your life. I think they're going to be so wild that it's going to become like an exponential factor of how wild it is. It's going to be like it gets so wild over here, and then it gets wilder over here. And then because this gets so wild, this person is going to say, well, I'm going to be the wildest. And it's just going to create this atmosphere of like this upward pressure of who can be the craziest, who can be the wildest. I think these midterms are going to be insane. So just get prepared for the craziest midterms you've ever seen. I don't even think there'll be any midterms comparable to this, what we're about to witness. Because if they put that conversation on television, which you could say TMZ did, but that's on their live show. If they have a debate with Randy Fine, or you go into the Democrat Party, where you know there's going to be these debates on Israel, folks, This is going to change the entire direction of our foreign policy. And by the way, the people that like the current status of our foreign policy, they know that. So that's going to make them even more intense. And then the anti-Israel side, let's say the anti-war side, they're going to match that intensity. It's going to be crazy. And all I'm saying is it's hard to leave that conversation and not say, hey, Bilzerian is right. Now, you might disagree with some of the angles as far as Israel is concerned, but I think as far as policy is concerned, it's hard to disagree. It's popular policy on the left and the right. And I don't think they can ignore Dan. That's going to be, Florida's going to be crazy. Between Fishback and Bilzerian now, the only thing that could make Florida crazier if Loomer decided to run again. We can go to space, but can't afford health care. Yeah, well, it's kind of the liberal talking point, but it's true. So it's like if you say something like that, they call you a liberal, they call you a leftist. Well, okay, but you can't say I'm wrong. Can't call me a liar. Can't call me wrong. Who is it? Is his name Anthony Hamilton, the famous actor? I think had a big viral video with that. Candace is a Taurus. She will never let it go. Somebody get the Baron Coleman report to Candace. We're going to have some TV. That's going to be a TV moment. Joe Kent is an ex-CIA paramilitary operations officer and is allegedly just another political psyop. We shall see. No, I completely reject that. Look, I understand people's concerns. I'm not here to butt heads with anybody with anybody that thinks that or is suspicious of that. I totally get it. Politics is so corrupt. I totally understand that. I completely reject it. I think Joe's story is as good as it gets, and I've been interviewing Joe since 2018. I mean, folks, if there's a measuring stick to me, and I'm not saying anything is perfect as a measuring stick, but it's like you have to understand in 2018, when InfoWars was the most demonized news outlet in the world, the only news outlet that was censored on all platforms, Joe Kent came on my show. So to me, that's like a litmus test. It's like if you can pass that, that's like 99% green light. And then if you need that extra 1%, I mean, you just kind of get it with his resignation. So I totally reject that. I will stand for Joe Kent's integrity. I believe that. But hey, you know what? You're suspicious of everybody. You don't trust anybody. How can I blame you for that? I'm not here to push back on that. I'm rejecting those claims about Joe Kent entirely. Ken Rose, thank you. Chad, thank you. Dia Falmid. I'm Diafala Dobashi, pro wrestler, owner of Dobashi Market and founder of Grit City Championship Wrestling. We love hosting your show at my store. The neighborhood fans are loving it. Tacoma, Washington. Are we live on the Dobashi Market right now? Is that what's happening? We need to look more into the Diafala Dobashi, pro wrestler and owner of Dobashi Market, founder of Grit City Championship Wrestling. I'm assuming that's in Tacoma then, and we might be broadcasting. So big shout out to Dobashi Market. If we are live on your airwaves right now, that is very cool. Enjoy. Thank you. Who do you like in the Masters? I have no idea. Who Scotty Scheffler? Isn't he like the best right now? I don't know how many golfers I could even tell you. So I think that's the easy one, right? No, it's Scotty Scheffler. Go Scheffler. I wish Tiger. I thought we were about to see one more Tiger comeback. I really did. Oh, Tiger, why? Is that this weekend or next? Why, Tiger? Why? I don't get it. Why do rich people drive intoxicated? Why? Tiger's like worth $1 billion. He was at one point. You can't hire a driver? What are we doing here, bro? What are we doing? I've never understand why a rich person would ever get a DUI. Ever. That's a broke person thing. That's a poor person thing to drive under the influence. Rich people, what are you doing? Why are you driving at all? I don't get it. Why, Tiger? I thought we'd see one more. And I want to, honestly, I thought we were going to see one more Tiger run at the Masters. I really did. I really believed it. I think that might be over now. I think it's over now. It's really sad. And I guess, Tiger has declared himself not guilty. It's a very weird thing. He says he's not guilty, but then he's like going to rehab or something. Well, that's kind of, if you're not guilty, why are you going to rehab? Who knows if he was drunk or not? He had some pills on him. I don't know. It doesn't look good. We'll see what happens. But it looks like right now, it looks like a situation where you just hang your head, you shake your head, and say, why, man? It makes no sense. Why would you throw it all away? Hire a damn driver. What is going on? And if there's a lesson, and maybe this is his redemption arc now, comes out and says, if there's a lesson, it's like, man, don't throw your life away. Don't throw your life away for pills. Don't throw your life away for a drink. Whatever it is, don't throw your life away, man. Put it down. Put it down. Hire a driver. Just something. Don't throw your life away for this crap. So that was, I would have been much more interested if Tiger was going to make a run at it, but I don't know. It's always nice on a Sunday. You plop it on, take a nap or something. That's kind of an American tradition. Do a shirtless podcast. What, are you scared? Do you think that's going to bait me? Throw a couple extra zeros on there. Maybe we'll consider it. DZ, maybe Trump will start a podcast. He likes to talk. Well, we're already in the Trump show, so I don't think we need a podcast. But I guess that's the season. Owen versus Bongino WrestleMania. Chop, chop, judo, chop. How's Dan Bongino doing anyway? Yeesh. Talk about a fall off. Jen Common, the moon and space stuff. It's all fake and gay. It's just another way for government to steal our hard-earned money and make us okay with it. Well, you're not alone in that thought. Woofy, Bilzerian Schroyer, special guest tag team at WrestleMania. Well, I'd be down. Who are we up against? I watched Baron Coleman's show last night, and it was one of his best. Candace is taking this entire week off right now. She doesn't have a set schedule, so she just kind of does some weeks in a row and then takes time off. I totally get it. That's not how I was brought up in media. I'm a daily talk show guy, so my mindset is you're on air every day. But we will. I think the Owen Report is thinking about a break. I do say, and I what I think is going to happen if this 2-week ceasefire, whatever it is, if this just turns out to be another churn and burn, then I think that'll be my sign to just go away for a week. If it's just like another ride, if it's just another ride on the 2-week drama, I'm out. I think that'll be my sign to just take some time. I don't think I can do it again. I'm so sick of that ride. That's about the oldest ride in the book right now. So I'm not interested in taking that ride for another week. So we'll see. Let's get some Halo or God of War music. The GUI. Well, I'll give you a little tease. Actually, the problem with the Halo music, the Gregorian chant, right? I mean, it's like, if you've never played Halo, does it hit? Let's say my dad is tuned in. My dad likes to harass me about the music. If my dad is tuned in, he's never played Halo. And he hears the Gregorian chant. What does he think? Does he think I've lost my mind? Probably. My dad probably thinks I've lost my mind. He's like, what is my son doing? He's got this long hair. He's playing Gregorian chant music. Where have I gone wrong? So I don't know. But I have a playlist of music that's going to be added, and Halo is on it. We'll see if it makes the final cut. But that's a little influence there. That's a little positive influence. Hi, Love. Oh, and the Flamboyant. Boy, that is a lot of work on that deal. Wow. Hi, Love. Remember that we have dinner res at 8 p.m. Okay. Rumors are circulating Professor Zhang on Owen Report soon, from the Owen Report. So there's Dominic Trippy. There's DMT, who can't produce my Instagram account for the show, but he's in the super chats. Do you guys want Professor Zhang? I'm going to the chats. Do you guys want Professor Zhang? Looking at the chats. Looks like yes. It's a little mixed review. But it looks like the yeses have it. All right. We'll see what we can do. After all these months, I just noticed you no longer have the stack of news. What happened? Is it easier for you without it? Yes, is the easy answer. What I decided is that it's easier for me to present the news stories on the screen than have them in my hand. Ultimately is what led to that decision. So part of me misses the stacks. Part of me doesn't, but it is easier for me to present and order this stuff in a tab than it is on the desk. So that's what led to that decision. But actually, I'm going green. I'm saving trees. I love the planet. Elusive. Feds need the crime rate up to justify their surveillance state. Yikes. You know, it's funny. I was actually going to say this earlier, and then you bring up the surveillance state. When I was talking about the new Charlie Kirk case news and how you have these people that say, oh, don't question anything. Don't question. It's like, well, what if? It's like, no, not even. The one thing that they get right in that Mercy movie, spoiler alert, if you haven't seen the new Chris Pratt movie, Mercy, spoiler alert, massive spoiler. I'm about to ruin the whole thing for you here. So if you haven't seen it, you want to see it, tune out. Spoiler alert, last warning, spoiler alert. What they did so great in that movie, what they did so well in that movie, when he gets in there and he has the 98.9%, whatever it is, it's 98% chance that he's guilty, right? So they get in there, the AI says 98% chance that he's guilty. It ends up at like 99%. And of course, he ends up being not guilty. And it's like, that's the point here. It's like, as long as there is a single percent chance that you are not guilty, that means there's a percentage chance that you're not guilty. It's like, that's how we apply this concept of innocent till proven guilty. That's how we apply this concept of reasonable doubt, the burden of proof. Like, this is a very important part of our justice system. And I can't believe I'm watching these people just throw it out. So they got that right in Mercy. They did really well presenting that. It's like, yeah, 99%. Oh, he was innocent. It's like, hey, that's why we have it. All right. If you watch one episode of Baron Coleman Show, watch last night's episode. Seriously, it blew my mind. Not just the timing stuff, but about Erica and Ye. Yeah, apparently they live together in New York City. You get so deep into this rabbit hole, man, and it's just like, oh. You start shaking off cobwebs and revealing stuff that you just don't want to reveal. Oh, look who's shown up. This is the handiwork of DMT. What are we, an hour late here, guys? We asked for the Instagram page an hour ago. Are you on an hour delay? What is going on with DMT? But he did. There he is, though. So we have a sign of life. All right. And he got it off the screen, too. That's some nice work. Better late than never. All right. The system signal. The battle isn't left versus right. It's who controls the narrative people believe. Yeah, like who counts the votes, right? Same kind of concept there. Have you prepared for the day that you can no longer cover this crap without literally wearing a clown suit yourself? It's getting close. Oh, well, I don't know. Prepared for the day? I guess, yeah, because I'm thinking it's time for me to order a clown outfit. So yes, I am getting prepared for that day. I am, but you know what? I think I would rather just maybe step away for a week of mental health instead of do the clown suit show. But we're getting there. Yeah, I think so. Judd Tebow Parker. Just sending support. That's all I have. Thank you. Did you hear about Megyn Kelly buried Steve Baker's story re J6 pipe bomber? Disturbing to say the least. You should get him on. I reached out to Steve. We tried to get something organized for an interview. It kind of fell off. I can reach out again. I did see that about Megyn. You know, Megyn is an interesting case. I don't even want to get into the whole Megyn Kelly case. I did see it. And so now people are highly skeptical of Megyn because of that. I don't know. That's a pretty crazy one. The pipe bomber deal is pretty crazy. And Baker's not letting it go. He kind of got tossed under the bus by the Blaze, and now they're dealing with legal issues. So it's just a mess. It's just a mess. Revis, I never thought I would actually root for another country at war with America, losing my sense of patriotism to say the least. Dark times. Well, you're in a struggle. I don't think that doesn't make you a patriot necessarily. I mean, you could argue, in 1776, it was the loyalists that you were up against. It was the people that supported the crown. It was kind of the country at the time, so you stood against the country then. It's probably not even a fair comparison. I think the more fitting way to present this is to say, look, if your government has been occupied by corrupt interests, if your government, this is actually in the Constitution, if your government becomes corrupt, it's our job, it's we the people's job to fix our government, to overthrow a corrupt government. That's in our constitutional law to do that, by the way. So I don't think that doesn't make you patriotic. The question is it a lesser of two evils? Is it, I don't know what's evil and what's good, except I know my government is evil. And so it becomes a little, it becomes complicated. I don't think you can say that anything is clear. Anything is black and white on this. But that's but you're kind of like that. What you're doing here is you're showing this bullying campaign that if you don't support America no matter what, you're the bad guy. Well, would you have said the same to Germans in 1940? Right? So it's just like, I don't think it's fair. I don't think it's right to say that. I think these things are very complex. Big rumor. Dan Bilzerian on Owen Report next week. Look, I talked to Dan today. I could invite him on the show. But like I said, I've been trying to go and do his podcast first. But we could get him on. He'd probably come on. He went on TMZ. So it's just I don't like becoming the part of this stuff. Like I don't want to become a part of some trending story. It's like, hey, when the time comes and I want to get Dan on, I'll get him on. Or when I'm able to go to Vegas, I'll go do the show with him. But it's like, I want to wait for to invite Dan on. Like, I'd rather wait until there's like something that's like really big and it's like, okay, now I want to talk to you about that. So we'll see. I think it'll happen. My B-Day is Cinco de Mayo. What are you going to gift me? What do you got, about a month here? Is that really your birthday? Cinco de Mayo birthday? Is that fun? It's probably pretty fun. Noxie Love, thanks for coming to speak on my X Space. You made all the ladies' night. Apple fritters for all. Man, we really like apple fritters, guys. I mean, there is no limit to the apple fritters. None, guys. Don't worry. That was a nice space, though. Thank you. Pizza Boy, who's your top 10 best debaters of all time? That's an interesting one. I don't know. I've never really considered that. I've never really thought about that. So I'm just going to say me, all 10. How about that? Trump's a pretty good debater. Dave Smith is a pretty good debater. Tucker Carlson, a pretty good debater. Dropped a penny. Professor Jackie Chan is based. Professor Zhang. That's a vote for Zhang. Janie Na. Your integrity and courage on Palestine is how I found you. Thank you for everything you do for our country and our sanity. Well, both of those things are important, and I'm glad I can be of service. Matt Kemp. Watch Nick Fuentes. He's the only one telling the truth. You're wrong about Kent, Barron, Candace. They are all behind Vance. Another puppet. That's just like your opinion, man. Strange question, because I want to look at your astrology. Is your birthday really February 1st? Your birthday is listed different days online in case you care. Well, I'll tell you what. You didn't ask directly. I'm not sure if I want to get my birthday out right now. I don't know if maybe there's a risk factor there. It's not February. It's not. It's actually in the summer. If that helps you out, maybe come back tomorrow if it doesn't. Oh, and throw a party back here in the St. Louis area. The crew and I are pumped for you to spin the sounds as DJ Goyslop while on a garage-themed stage from Brizzy. I like all of that. Do I know you, Brizzy? I like all of that. I like a garage-themed stage. DJ Goyslop. No, I'm DJ Tyrant. I don't take requests. So I already have a DJ name. I'm debating St. Louis or Austin to have a party. I'm debating even whether to do it. Still considering it. There's just so much legwork to do something like that. So we'll see. We'll see. Massive rumor. AJ on Owen Report next week. That's definitely a massive rumor. That's for sure that. That's about all it is right now. But there you go. All right, guys, we've done it. We've got through another show. I appreciate everybody tuning in. What's going on tonight? Anything in politics? I guess we're just going to watch the bombs continue to drop. Or not. I guess that's pretty much it. Watch the AI surveillance state take over. Watch MAGA become more cultish. Watch the neocons and foreign loyalists crash out in their bloodlust. Enjoy the show. Thank you for tuning in. We'll take a 21-hour break. We'll do it all again tomorrow, same time, same channel. Remember, last chance for some of the apparel at owenschroyer.store, remaking the store next week. So pay attention to that. Otherwise, we sign off. See you tomorrow. God bless. Godspeed.